A pleasant good evening to you from Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie, Texas. We apologize for the delayed start of our broadcast. We're dealing with some technical issues, but we are pleased to be with you here tonight for this by-district playoff matchup between your Lake Highlands Wildcats and the South Grand Prairie Warriors. Philip Kern alongside my broadcast partner, Keith Whitmire. Glad to have you along with us for this one. One of the most anticipated times of the year, and for these two teams, it is the third consecutive year that they have met in the by-district round. South Grand Prairie took the first matchup in 2020. Lake Highlands exacted a little bit of revenge last season with a 29-24 victory against the South Grand Prairie Warriors. And so third year in a row, this is a bit of a rubber match. And Keith, on paper, these two teams are pretty similar. They are both playing very well right now. We're coming in on a long winning streak, and they both have very, very talented running backs.
Yeah, of course, Lake Highlands has Deontay Dean, and we all know about him. And South Grand Prairie has A.J. Newberry. He's their workhorse. And imagine South Grand Prairie, with all their size and physicality, they're going to, use him as a ramrod and hammer him right at the Lake Highlands undersized defensive line. But yeah, like you said, they are similar teams. South Grand Prairie started 0-5. They have a very deceiving 5-5 record. Those first 5 losses are all very close and all to very highly esteemed ranked teams, such as same with Lake Highlands. Lake Highlands lost to Highland Park and Jesuit, and has since been in a roll. No one else in the district has been able to handle Lake Highlands. Similar with South Grand Prairie, no one but Arlington Martin was able to handle them. So now they meet in the playoffs for the rubber match. First time the game is at South Grand Prairie's home field, however.
And something that's interesting to know, we both talked about how these two teams have very, very good running backs, and they both have had a lot of success in running the football. In fact, just to give you an idea, South Grand Prairie has had 8 instances where they've had over 200 yards rushing as a team. In 3 of those games, they've gone over 300 yards. And so they're very similar to Lake Highlands. They love to run the football. And Keith, as you mentioned, A.J. Newberry is the catalyst for that offense. And so we will be watching him very, very closely in a similar fashion to Deontay Dean, who is also the top running back, arguably the top running back to District 7-6A. But there's going to be a lot of talent here on this field. And, of course, as we mentioned earlier, Trip Hawley and South Grand Prairie starting quarterback. I'll have his name
Jaden
for you.
Stanley.
Jaden Stanley, thank you. They're both very similar as well. And so we're gonna get some pretty similar style of offenses. And what I'm going to be fascinated for Lake Highlands tonight is how that front seven is going to handle A.J. Newberry, because he's probably going to be one of the stiffest challenges they've had all season long.
And the other factor is the weather. It's in the 40s, and the wind is blowing very hard. I noticed in warm-ups, Trip Hawley had no trouble putting some zip on the ball, throwing. Lake Highlands warmed up in the I don't know if we're east end of the stadium, and had no trouble putting zip on the ball and being on target. And that wind is really going to be 15 miles an hour, gusting up to 20 to 25, and that might affect the passing games. And I don't know who that benefits, but I think it would help Lake Highlands if they could get up to an early lead. South Grand Prairie would much rather run the ball than pass it, and if they could force South Grand Prairie to have to throw the ball, then that plays into Lake Highlands' hands.
We're looking to our left-hand side here. The South Grand Prairie Warriors are making their way down to the field through the stands, and it's a pretty cool little entrance that they've got going on here as they are walking right alongside the band here.
It's a tunnel. It's a ramp, just like at the Cotton Bowl, and both teams use that ramp, and it's kind of a big game feel. The Gopher Warrior Bowl, or as many people still call it, the Gopher Bowl. Very tight sidelines, only about 8 yards from the sideline to the stands, and the fans in the stand are right on top of the players and the team. There's not a bad seat in the house. It's really a great venue, and one of the hidden gems in some ways. You can barely see the lights from I-30 as you pass by, but this is one of the great, outstanding high school venues in the Metroplex.
We've got a great seat here. It feels like we are about as close to the action as we could get here from a press box standpoint. And with any luck, we may not even need the binoculars tonight, because it's almost like a high-definition type of broadcast from where we're sitting.
And we've got a Nathan Macy here handling the camera part of it.
That's right.
He's going to help him out. He's also a Lake Highlands student. So.
Yes, absolutely. We're glad to have him here with us for the broadcast tonight. We're also going to be simulcasting this on the NFHS network, and we are in the process of getting that all figured out. And so once we have that up, if you are going to be joining us for that as well, to lay eyes on this broadcast and for this playoff game, that will be wonderful as well. We just hope you'll have us along for the ride. And as the Lake Highlands Wildcats are getting ready ready to take the field. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit further about these two offenses, and I would expect that there's probably going to be a fair amount of points that are going to be put up in this matchup tonight, because you've got a couple of offenses that have been clicking along the way. Lake Highlands averaging a little over 37 points a night coming into this one, and for South Grand Prairie, a little over 40 points a night as well. And so a lot of points being scored here by these two teams, and their running games, it's really going to be a factor, because in this type of cold weather, and like you said, with the wind, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And so we're going to get you the starting lineups here momentarily.
Yeah, it could be a high-scoring game, but the weather, I think, might contribute to turnovers.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The ball gets hard and cold and hard to hold on to and slips out of hands. The players are all wearing sleeves, which also adds to some slipperiness. So we could see some turnovers here, and that obviously can always decide a game itself.
It really can, and we are going to be looking at the officials as they make their way to the 50-yard line, and we're going to be having the coin toss momentarily. South Grand Prairie down there on the field, they are in their home red uniforms with their white numbers and the black outlines, and they've got the classic gold helmet look, although on their official logo they had a little bit of the spear along the sides. And so
it's a Florida State look.
I was just going to say, it's very reminiscent of Florida State. Lake Highlands in their road white uniforms, black numbers with the red outline, and they've brought out the black helmet with the chrome finish, and it's a much bigger roster here for Lake Highlands tonight. A lot of JV call-ups, and Keith in particular, one you got your eye on is your son Connor. He is going to be on the sideline here tonight. He's been with us in the booth all season, but he gets to view this game up close and personal.
Yep, number 61 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
That's right.
But he was very excited to get to play. That's one of the great things about playoff football, when the younger kids and the JV players get to suit up and be right there with the rest of the varsity. They had a great team meal last night. Coach Jim Ledford, the former Burtner coach, but also a Lake Highlands assistant, gave a really motivating speech to them, as well as Bobby Lonergan, a former player. And so it was a real good bonding experience.
And teams are at the 50-yard line for this coin toss. And Lake Highlands has won the toss.
And defer, I believe.
And it looked like he was just about to make the defer sign.
All right.
All right, and so Lake Highlands wins the toss. They choose to defer to the second half, which means we will get our first look at the Grand Prairie starting offense, South Grand Prairie starting offense.
Yeah, how many times are you going to say that?
Yes, exactly. I'm already on one, so I'm off to a fine start here. All right, so starting quarterback is the junior Jaden Stanley. Starting running back is senior A.J. Newberry. Starting wide receivers are senior Matthew Ramirez, senior Wesley Luster, senior Julian Stratford, and senior Duncan Cantenberger. The offensive line from left to right, sophomore Caden McGriff is a left tackle. Celso Rodriguez, the senior, is at left guard. Javier Mendez, the junior, is at center. Jalen Peel, the senior, is at right guard. And Caden Stuckey, the senior, is starting at right tackle. And for the Lake Highlands Wildcats, it's all the names you know and love at this point. Senior Andre Johnson and senior Jalen Caden starting at defensive end. Christian Tate is back as the starter and nose tackle. He is also a senior. Lucas Shaw, the senior, is at strong side linebacker. Sam Hutton, the senior, is at weak side linebacker. Senior Sholem Peter is at the buck linebacker, and junior Shep Jenkins will man the middle as well. Starting corners are senior Shamar Donaldson and senior Chung Lin. Rover safety is senior Wesley Scott, and the free safety is senior Carson Klein. On the other side of the ball, when Lake Highlands has it, starting quarterback will be junior Trip Holly. Junior Deontay Dean is the starting running back as well. Starting wide receivers, senior Nemi Osarola, senior Shamar Donaldson, senior Jack Schreiner, and junior Trip Marshall. Starting offensive line from left to right, senior Jalen Caden at left tackle, Mark Quintana, the senior, at left guard, junior James Ward at center, senior Archer Davies at right guard, and Jaqueline Johnson, the junior, is at right tackle. And for the South Grand Prairie starting defense, run that for you here really quickly. Senior Nathan Henson and senior Keone Perkins at defensive end. Marco De La Pena is the senior at starting nose tackle. Senior Tanner Jacobs is at buck linebacker. Darian Jackson, the senior, at Sam linebacker. Leo Morris, the junior, at Mike linebacker. Jean-Marc Sadie, the senior, is at weak side linebacker. Starting corners are Darius Carmouche, the senior, and junior Devin McCune. The rover safety is senior Micah Williams, and junior Ahmad Jenkins is the starting free safety.
Good job, Philip.
Yeah, got all through that.
Right in time for the national anthem.
Ruthless efficiency. That is what I aim for at this point. We will let you listen in to the national anthem. The color guard has just taken the field, and when we come back, we will have the kickoff of this bi-district playoff matchup between South Grand Prairie and Lake Highlands. We will be right back. And we are ready to go here at the Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie, Texas. The Lake Highlands Wildcats are on Champion Sports Radio. And this broadcast, as always, is brought to you by the Dave Perry Miller Real Estate Group. Kind enough to be the title sponsor for the broadcast all season long. And as we mentioned earlier, we will see the Grand Prairie offense take the field first. And it should be a good one. We're glad to have you along with us here on Champion Sports Radio.
Looks like Shalom Peter will be kicking off against the wind. So, well, you know, it looks like the flags on top of the goalpost are moving. Looks like the wind's blowing each way. The ones on the left, the wind's blowing to the left. The ones on the right, the wind's blowing to the right. So I can only judge that it's a swirling wind out there, but it is blowing.
It is a bit of a wild swirling wind here at Gopher Warrior Bowl here tonight. And when I pulled into the parking lot, it was in the mid-40s, and as of kickoff tonight, we're at a very balmy 43 degrees.
I just know that walking in, the one thing running through my mind is, why didn't we play last night?
It felt more like a spring, late summer day. I mean, it was 70s, It was muggy, and quite a difference here going from last night to tonight.
Yes, well, you know, that's part of the playoffs, cold weather.
That's right.
It makes memories, not always good ones.
No.
I remember that 1981, the year Lake Highlands won the state title, our Biddership game at Texas Stadium against John Tyler. It was bitterly cold, but we made it through with that good old Texas Stadium hot chocolate.
And so Shalom Peter is ready to kick this one off closer to the near hash mark at the right side at the 40-yard line. And back to return this one for South Grand Prairie is Jean-Marc Sadie and A.J. Newberry. And so they're going to get right into this one in special teams. We are glad to have you along with us for this one on Champion Sports Radio. And rest assured, for those of you trying to join us here on NFHS Network, we are working on that as we speak. And we should have that up and running momentarily. Peter on the approach. Kicks this one away, a bit of a short kick. Newberry comes up to the 10-yard line and fields it, goes on the near sideline to the 20, and bullies his way to the 30-yard line. A 20-yard return for A.J. Newberry, and he is a little bit hyped about that kick return.
Well, we saw A.J. Newberry before they even snapped the ball, and so we're going to see a lot of him tonight, I think. Like I said, I think South Carolina Prairie is going to use him as a battering ram and test that undersized defensive front for Lake Highlands. But while Lake Highlands lacks in size up front, they have a lot of guys that fly to the ball and swarm and make big hits.
1st and 10 for South Grand Prairie. Jaden Stanley, the quarterback, is in the shotgun. Newberry moves from right to left. And they give it to Newberry, and he has absolutely nowhere to go. He is kept in between the hashes. Andre Johnson leading the charge from defensive end, and he brings it down for no gain.
And they've got Christian Tate in nose guard helping plug up the middle. That was a great effort by the Lake Highlands defense. They passed the first test so far, with South Carolina Prairie running right at them.
And so no gain on that one. 2nd and 10 here for South Grand Prairie. 3 wide receivers out in this formation. Stanley with the snap. Play action. Rolls to his left. Tries to go down the near hash mark. It is incomplete. Intended for a Cantonberger, and Lucas Shaw with some nice coverage there. And it was a nice pressure there by Lake Highlands.
That was encouraging. Lake Highlands got pressure, flushed the quarterback to his left. The ball was underthrown. The receiver almost came back and got it, but Carson Klein was right there, doing what he's done all season as the free safety, cleaning up anything that happens deep in the backfield. 3rd and 10 from the 31. Stanley takes the snap, sets up in the pocket, throws deep down the middle of the field. It's sailed and intercepted by Wesley Scott at the 36-yard line. And how about the Lake Highlands defense doing what they've done all season long? Turnovers is the name of the game, and Wesley Scott plays it very well. Well, I said turnovers could be a factor on a night like tonight. The wind blowing, and if he lofted that ball up in the air, and I don't think he went where the quarterback intended it to. And Wesley Scott, he's a baseball player. He's a ball hawk. That was like catching an easy pop fly for him.
Wesley Scott and Carson Klein have been quite the tandem at safety and proving once again why they are one of the best in the district. Holly takes the snap. 1st and 10. Give to Dean. Going up the left hash mark and absolutely nowhere to go for him. And that was Nathan Henson who came in on the stop. And so good pursuit there for South Grand Prairie.
Yeah, Deontay got a couple of yards, though. He's never one to ever get trapped for a loss very often. But, yeah, tough sledding up the middle right now. It's just like South Grand Prairie testing Lake Highlands. Lake Highlands is testing the South Grand Prairie defensive front. Both teams use a 3-man defensive front.
2-yard gain, 2nd and 8 coming up. Dean right up the gut. He's got the space at the 50. Has the first down into South Grand Prairie territory. The 40 to the 35. Brought down from behind at the 31-yard line. And Deontay Dean already getting warmed up here. The first big chunk play of the night for Lake Highlands.
Great cutback. Flow was to the right. Hand off to Dean. He takes off to the left, big hole, and scoots up forward for a big gain. This could be something of a coming out party for Deontay Dean. He's been one of the best running backs in the area, but hasn't gotten quite a lot of publicity for it. But if he has a big game tonight, people will notice.
1st and 10 for the South Grand Prairie 30. Handoff, a nice cut by Dean. Bounces outside left tackle, falls forward to the 26-yard line for a gain of 4. And Deontay Dean is being featured early and often here tonight, and for good reason.
And, Deontay's stats could be so much better if he played a lot more in some of those routes Lake Highlands had in the second half of the season. But he often didn't even play in the second half, and he could have had a much bigger statistical advantage coming in. But that's not the Lake Highlands way to run it up on teams.
4-yard gain on this one makes it 2nd and 6 from the 26-yard line. 9:40 left here in this first quarter. We're glad you've joined us here on the NFHS Network as well. Dean, right at the right side, slips on the turf, but does get a first down, but he could have had so much more as he stumbled to the 13-yard line, but Deontay Dean is feeling it already.
That was a huge hole that Deontay squirted through, and then the little self-tackleization there, just the rug monster got him. This turf looks a little bit worn here in South Grand Prairie at the Gopher Warrior Bowl, but they'll come back and get it.
1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Lake Highlands marching down the field here. 9:12 left in this first quarter. Much anticipated by-district playoff round here in 6A Division 1. Dean cuts outside and gets to the, we'll say the 16-yard line, and was tackled there by John Mark Sadie, the outside linebacker, who brings him down for a couple of yards.
Yeah, nice little cutback there. Not a whole lot there, but Deontay made the most of it. Right now, the Lake Highlands offensive line is winning the battle, creating huge holes and allowing a space for Deontay Dean to do what he does.
From the 14-yard line, 2nd and 6 coming up here. Dean at Holly's left hip. Actually, they're saying it at the 11-yard line now based on the scoreboard. Holly in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers to his right. Give to Dean once again. Follows his block. Bounces outside the right tackle to the 5-yard line. And he has more than enough for a first down. Brought down at the 3, which sets up a goal-to-go situation. And Lake Highlands off to a fine start.
Good gain again by Deontay. That time he used his speed and quickness to string that play out long enough toward the right sideline until he could find some room to move upfield, and he did. Now 1st and goal at the inside the 5, you'd say, Philip, and a really great shape for Lake Highlands. Tremendous start to this game.
Absolutely. 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Holly takes the snap. They go right back to Dean. Fights his way through the tackles. And is he in?
Trip Holly says he is.
Holly put up the sign, but unfortunately he does not wear those striped shirts. And it's going to be about a yard short of the end zone. And so Deontay Dean gets a couple of tough yards there.
It's about 6 inches short. But, yeah, boy, give it to him again. Why fix what's not broken?
2nd and goal from the 1. Holly in the shotgun again. Takes the snap. Goes to Dean. Okay. Tries to bully his way through. And
that time I thought they stood him up.
It looked like they stood him up initially. Did the second ever get him in? No, it doesn't look like it. And you got to give a lot of credit to that South Grand Prairie defender. That was Eddie Foster, who came in, provided some extra support on the outside, and made sure he did not get through.
Lake Highlands doing some substituting here. We'll see what they have cooked up. They're right there on the goal line. You would think it'd be nothing fancy. They'd try to hammer Deontay Dean again, but with the substitutions they've done, might have to do something more exotic.
3rd and goal from the 1. Holly takes the snap to Dean. This time he gets in, follows his blockers. It's a touchdown for Lake Highlands. And Deontay Dean, what he's done all season long, 20 touchdowns on the regular season. Add one more to that total, and now Lake Highlands is up 6-0.
Well, that time they blocked it up perfectly, and Deontay basically just walked into the end zone. This is an amazing start for the Wildcats, and a lot of people pick Lake Highlands as the underdog in this game. I know the 7 pickers for the Dallas Morning News, only 2 of them picked Lake Highlands to win. Right now, they're looking good.
Shalom Peter out for the extra point. It is good. And unfortunately, Peter is a bit slow to get up. We have a flag that came in.
Yeah.
And I think we might get a little bit of a roughing the kicker penalty.
Micah Williams for South Carolina Prairie shot in there and hit Shalom, who went down and grabbed his back. But Shalom was able to jog off. No, he's being walked back to the middle of the field. I see him now, a trainer walking with him. The thing about Shalom is he's a soccer player. So if you knock him down, he's going to play it up. You don't get red cards, but it certainly doesn't help to draw a flag if you put a little embellishment in it. But I think Shalom's going to be okay. He's definitely going to try to make the kickoff here.
And just want to let you know that tonight's edition of Friday Night Lights is brought to you by our title sponsor, Wendy Lucas with Dave Perry Miller Real Estate. Ready to buy, sell, or invest in Dallas real estate? Reach out to local expert and LHHS alumnus Wendy Lucas to help get you over the goal line and celebrate a win this fall. Visit wendylucas.daveperrymiller.com or click on the banner ad on the Champion Sports Radio page for contact information and to get started. Go Wildcats!
Well, Shalom's kind of walking around like an old man with a little bit of arthritis, but I think he'll be okay. That's another thing about this cold and the wind tonight. Every bump and bruise hurts that much more. And but these are young guys. They should be able to get through it. I know one thing. Players were told if they're going to wear sleeves or leggings, it had to be white to go with the all-white look they're wearing tonight. And several of the players ran to Academy in our neighborhood. We saw them buying white undergarments to try to stay warm.
And so an impressive opening drive here for the Lake Highlands Wildcats as they jump out to an early lead. And as we mentioned earlier, a bit of a frigid night here in Grand Prairie. Peter kicking off from the 45-yard line. And this will go easily into the end zone for a touchback. And that kickoff moved up 15 yards after a personal foul penalty on South Grand Prairie. And it forced on the kickoff. And so South Grand Prairie takes over at their own 25 after the touchback.
Yeah, the Lake Highlands Student Council also called for everyone to wear white. Well, there's not a lot of good warm weather winter clothing that comes in white. But
true.
I see the Hardy group across the field there. Quite a few of them have white hoodies, and so they're keeping with the theme. But some of them aren't even wearing shirts, though, at this point. We'll see how long that lasts.
And so 1st and 10 for South Grand Prairie at their own 25-yard line. Stanley takes the snap. Keeps it himself, showing some nice agility there in between the hashes, gets to the 31-yard line for a gain of 6. And you can see Stanley is a bit of a threat when he has the ball in his hand. 569 yards of rushing on the season, 6.7 yards of carry, and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, Stanley's running could be a key to the game for South Carolina Prairie because you know Lake Highlands is going to load up for Newberry, the running back.
Gain of 7 on that one makes it 2nd and 3. 4 wide receivers out for South Grand Prairie. Man in motion here, going from left to right. And a little bit of a move there on the offensive line. I believe that was Caden Stuckey, the senior right tackle, who moved a bit early. That is a false start. Back up South Grand Prairie 5 yards, and Lucas Shaw applauding in approval.
You know, one thing, both of these teams have a storyline of they've kind of been forgotten. They're 2 of the best teams in the Metroplex, but they both lost early to their district rivals and weren't really a factor in the district championship race. Now they playoffs, they have a chance to really show up and show off.
2nd and 9. Stanley with the snap. They go right back to Newberry. Big hole inside left tackle. Gets to the 40-yard line and skips out of bounds and was forced out by Wesley Scott. But that was a big hole that opened up, and A.J. Newberry took advantage.
It was a big hole, but Jalen Caton shot through there and just missed getting him.
Oof,
so
yes,
you
right.
know, I'll give my odds to Jalen Caton if he keeps getting in the backfield like that. And Jalen Caton, of course, is the defensive end, but also plays left tackle on the offensive line.
Just barely missed that one. That was a good call there, Keith. Receiver moving from left to right.
There he is, Jalen Caton.
And Caden shot through, but this time Stanley keeps it, gets into Lake Highlands territory to the 45-yard line, and that's more than enough for another first down. And I think they are sensing that Caden's aggressiveness, they are definitely wanting to use that against him.
They fooled me, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought he had a tackle in the backfield, but oh well.
Well, Newberry, unfortunately, was just a little bit of a decoy, but with that first down, I think he will not have any problem with that.
Yeah. So now we got South Carolina Prairie and Lake Highlands territory, and then the situation changes, see how the defense responds.
First and 10 from the Lake Highlands 45. Stanley with the snap. They go right back to Newberry. Tries to stretch it outside left tackle. Nice pursuit there by Peter to force him out of bounds for only a 2-yard gain as he goes right into the South Grand Prairie sideline.
Yeah, that's that swarming Lake Highlands defense. They play 4 linebackers, and they like to string it out like that, and they didn't give him an opening to really shoot through like he did on a couple of previous plays in this drive.
So a 2-yard gain on that one makes it 2nd and 8. Clock stops with 5:18 left to go in this first quarter. Lake Highlands out to a 7-0 lead already. Stanley takes the snap, dumps it out to Newberry for the screen pass, and runs right into the arms of Hutton at the 40-yard line on the nearest sideline. And so nice job there by Hutton to hold his point of attack with that block. Yeah,
that play was really a running play. I mean, he threw the ball overhand to him, but it might as well have been a pitch and on a kind of a swing pass. But and Lake Highlands defense was there. Now they've got South Grand Prairie having to figure out what they want to do on 3rd and medium, 3rd and 4. It looks like.
Looks to be correct there. 3rd and 4. They need to get to the 35-yard line for a first down.
South Grand Prairie is showing a trips right bunch formation, but so far their offense has been very simple and just doing what they do best.
Absolutely. They go right back to Newberry, and they will do so again. Nice pursuit there by Peter to stop it at the 40-yard line, and Hutton flexing in approval, and that ends up being a loss of 1 on that gain, and Shalom Peter is kind of gipping around a little bit, but he made a very, very key tackle there.
And Andre Johnson was at the bottom of that pile, too. Andre Johnson's one of those guys that he's not the biggest guy in the world, but I would not want to mess with him. He plays big, and that's the way the Lake Highlands defense has to do it.
4th and 5, South Grand Prairie going for it. Caden comes in, hits Stanley as he throws. It is incomplete. Trying to get it out to Newberry on the running back screen, and it's a 4th down stop for this Lake Highlands defense. They will take over at their own 40.
Sam Hutton read that perfectly and was in Newberry's face the whole way. Wow. And Newberry was talked to the ref. It's not interference if it's behind the line of scrimmage. So Sam Hutton played that perfectly. Great stand for the Lake Highlands defense. Now the offense, boy, if they could punch in another touchdown here and go up by 2 big scores, that would be amazing. That would really make South Grand Prairie do what it doesn't want to do, and that's try to throw the ball on every down.
Well, I'll tell you what, that would be an absolutely incredible start here to go up by 2 scores early on. 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Lake Highlands up 7-0. First down run to Dean. Tries to go outside left tackle, and he is not able to get even back to the line of scrimmage. Keone Perkins, the senior defensive end, strung that play out, getting the outside left hash, and it's a loss of 1.
Yeah, that time South Grand Prairie's defense really responded and played that well. They are a big, physical, fast group. They athletes everywhere.
So a flag came in. I didn't even see a flag come down, but they have just called South Grand Prairie for a face mask. And so that run there, 15 yards even after all that. And so a first down that puts Lake Highlands right back into South Grand Prairie territory at the 45.
Yeah, and very fortuitous. What the negative play became a big positive, and now Lake Highlands is in really good shape inside South Grand Prairie territory.
And so 1st and 10, 3:40 left to go in this first quarter. 4 wide receivers out in this formation here. Holly takes the snap. Play action. Looks to his right. Catch made by Schreiner at the 40-yard line and tackled immediately by junior Devin McCune, the starting corner there. But Jack Schreiner, he was a big receiver as part of this offensive attack early on. Didn't hear as much from him towards the end of the season, but coming through big with that catch.
That was a little hitch pass or comebacker to the quarterback, and he got 0 yards after the catch. The South Grand Prairie defense is too fast to allow that to turn into anything big. If they're going to make big plays in the passing game, they're going to have to hit guys in stride or deep downfield. 4-yard gain on that one. 2nd and 6 from the 41. Holly takes the snap. Looks to his left. Dumps it out to Dean on the screen. Good block there by Osarola. Dean cuts back to the 35-yard line. In between the outside number and hash to the 30-yard line. More than enough for another first down. And Deontay Dean showing his receiving chops there. Great throw by Trip Hall. He threw it right over a defender. Never even saw the ball. Right to Deontay Dean. And he followed his blockers. Good downfield blocking. Receivers blocking is a huge part of any successful offense. And Lake Highlands right now is very successful. They've got a whole lot of momentum on their side right now. 2:33 to go in this first quarter. Up 7-0 and looking to make it 2 scores here. Donaldson in motion out of the backfield. Holly takes the snap. Dumps out to Dean. It's a halfback pass to Schreiner in the end zone. It is. Did he make the catch? He did. Touchdown, Lake Highlands. Unbelievable. Halfback
pass to Jack Schreiner. And the Lake Highlands Wildcats have jumped up to a 2-score lead. 2:17 left in the first quarter.
Of course, they threw it to the one spot of the field I can't see from our press box view, but that was an amazing play and catch by Jack Schreiner. Double pass. You might remember Jesuit opened the game with a double pass against us and to burn us early. Lake Highlands pulling something out of the Jesuit playbook, and Shalom Peter hopefully will kick to make it a 14-0 lead.
Well, what a start for Lake Highlands. You couldn't have asked for anything better here at this point. Here is the snap. Peter approaching the extra point on the way, and it is good. 2:17 left to go in this first quarter. And the Lake Highlands Wildcats now up 14-0. Gives us an opportunity to thank Lake Highlands class of 84 alumni Joe Clifford and CNC Exteriors for supporting Wildcat football. If you thought about updating the outside of your home, get a personalized solution from CNC Exteriors by setting up a free consultation online at exteriorscc.net. Local, licensed, insured. CNC Exteriors, proud to serve the local community and support Lake Highlands High School.
Well, now if you're South Carolina Prairie, what are you thinking? Are you came in with a game plan and certain plays you want to run, but now you're down 14-0 early. And that might have to go out the window. You've got to get on the board, or Lake Highlands might run away with it the way things are looking.
I don't think South Grand Prairie expected this type of onslaught early on.
No.
And as you mentioned, on paper, they were thought to be the favorite, especially after their very tough non-district schedule. And there would be good reason to consider that, but I think Lake Highlands for some of these, at least coming into this match, it seems to me that they may have been a little bit underestimated here in this match.
Well, yeah, Lake Highlands is a very good team.
Yes,
they were a young team offensively. Had to face Highland Park the third week of the season, which is ridiculous, and then Jesuit, kind of a toss-up game, controversial play that led to a Jesuit touchdown. We won't get into it, but right off the bat, Lake Highlands had bang bang their two biggest games of the season in the first 5 weeks, and they haven't really. They've kind of fallen under the radar, but they'll get right back on it if this holds up.
Now Peter just does a squib kick, picked up at the 14-yard line. Sadie on the return and gets to the 15-yard line, but got to give a lot of credit there to that special teams unit led by Will Koppel, who made a couple of starts at linebacker this year, but nice coverage there on the pooch kick.
Yeah, and Colin Keaton got in there, a good hit too. We were talking before the game with my son, and South Carolina Prairie, very imposing team despite their 5-5 record, and a lot of people thought Lake Highlands would definitely be the underdog in this, but think about it, they did lose the 5 games, and although they were close, they were losses, so they are beatable. If that proves anything, they are beatable. They're not an invincible team. It's certainly not like facing a Denton Guyer or a Prosper or someone like that.
And so now South Grand Prairie takes over. Newberry with a stretch run. Outside rat tackle. Oh, he's got a whole bunch of space in front of him to the 36-yard line before Wesley Scott brings him down at the far hash mark. But another first down for South Grand Prairie as we come up on 2 minutes left in this first quarter.
And if I said South Grand Prairie was beatable, they'd hit a big play, and that's exactly what happened. So, sorry, Lake Highlands.
Broadcaster jinx there. It kind of cuts both ways, it
South
seems.
Grand Prairie is the favorite for the state title.
There we go. Oh. Newberry on a 1st and 10. Flag comes in. As he gets to the 40, Shalom Peter stands him up there on the outside hash mark in between the numbers.
Newberry slipped a little. He stumbled.
Yes, I think he did.
I wonder if that turf is a little slippery. I don't know, but
it would make sense with the.
I'm not going down there to find out.
Well, we did have a lot of rain this morning as well through the Metroplex here,
and now our windows are starting to fog up here in the press box, but.
And so we'll replay first down. It looks to be an offsides penalty on Lake Highlands, and so this becomes 1st and 5 with 1:45 left to go in this first quarter.
First penalty on the Wildcats. South Carolina Prairie's had a couple of them. They had a false start and also the big face mask penalty. Right now, Lake Highlands with their first unforced error. Again, the team that plays the cleaner game will have a huge advantage.
Absolutely. 1st and 5. Going right back to, it's actually Sadie who takes the handoff, and he gets into Lake Highlands territory at the 49-yard line, and that's John Mark Sadie who spells Newberry for a carry and showing some explosiveness there as he gets a first down.
Yeah, he slipped through the hands of Shalom Peter, and that's not going to happen too often. Mm-hmm. And so Shalom's going to get another shot at it most likely, and that, like I said, it's rare to see Shalom not make the tackle.
1st and 10 from the Lake Highlands 49. Stanley with the snap. Gives it to Sadie again, outside to the 45-yard line and brought down out of bounds at the South Grand Prairie sideline by Sam Hutton, but a good run by Sadie as he gets to the 42.
Well, down 14-0. South Grand Prairie has not thrown the playbook out the window. They're doing what they do best, and that's running the ball. Nothing really fancy. Hands off up the middle and around the end, and they're going to stick with that until Lake Highlands makes them come out of it.
Second and short here for South Grand Prairie. Caden shoots through again, but Stanley keeps it this time. Carson Klein meets him in between the hatches at the 40-yard line, so it will be a 3rd and 1 coming up here. As Hutton, you can see the emotional leader of this defense and flexing a couple of times in celebration there.
Jalen Caden's, he's in there making chaos happen in their backfield, but they're just slipping by him. I don't know if he needs a GPS tracker to actually find the man with the ball, but he's really disrupting things in their backfield. Even though he's not making the tackle, that's got to be on their minds.
3rd and 1 coming up here. Stanley takes the snap. It's to Newberry. He gets the first down to the 39. Hutton stops him right there, and he's met by a whole cavalry of Lake Highlands white shirts there, but Newberry does get that critical first down.
Yeah, Shep Jenkins stood up tall there and held him up until the cavalry came to finish him off, and now we have a flag down.
Oh, they get Sam Hutton for a face mask, and he cannot believe the call.
He is incredulous.
Oof. He is
No, they gave it to Shep.
Oh, goodness.
Shep was the first man in there trying to hold on to him until help arrived, and he must have grabbed the headgear somehow. But we'll take that. 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, Shep will make that play without a face mask. So keep doing what you're doing.
And so that moves South Grand Prairie deeper into Lake Highlands territory. Clock continues to run. We're at 5 seconds left, and South Grand Prairie will just be content to let this quarter clock run out. And so we have reached the end of the first quarter, and Lake Highlands off to a fantastic start as they're up 14-0 over the South Grand Prairie Warriors. And want to give a thank you to Dylan Olson and Infinity Solar USA. Homeowners, have you ever considered owning your own power by going solar? Then contact Infinity Solar USA, a locally owned and operated company who has helped thousands of homeowners become their own power company by going solar. Call 469-868-4164. That's 469-868-4164. And get your exclusive discount and a free solar savings report. Infinity Solar USA.
Well, South Grand Prairie, this is their first really sustained drive. There are 2 drives early in the first quarter. One ended in an interception. Another turned it over on downs at midfield. And so we're seeing South Grand Prairie actually make foray into Lake Highlands territory. Of course, they were just helped by a big face mask penalty. But we're going to see how Lake Highlands bend but don't break philosophy plays out here. The Warriors are going to have the ball at the 19, and with that swirling wind, I don't think any field goal is a safe bet right now. Of course, South Grand Prairie is thinking 6 points, not 3. Now they come out in a really wide, spread out offense. 4 wide receivers, 3 on one side.
Here is the snap. Newberry makes a cut inside. Johnson is along for the ride. There is Newberry keeps the legs moving to the 11-yard line, and just A.J. Newberry, he is just a tough customer.
Yeah, he is. South Grand Prairie keeps him coming out in these fancy formations with wide receivers all over the place. But basically, they're handing it to him or the quarterback, and they're just running right at Lake Highlands.
2nd and 1 from the Lake Highlands 11. This time, South Grand Prairie offense going from our left to our right. Stanley in the shotgun. Takes the snap and tried to get it out to Newberry. It is incomplete.
Lucas Shaw was bearing down on him and the quarterback and forced that incompletion. He almost got there in time.
No, he almost did, and really at this point, Lake Highlands doing a little bit of a bend but don't break philosophy here on defense, and at least try to hold them to a field goal at this point.
Yeah, big 3rd down here. I think Lake Highlands, Pascucci, the defensive coordinator, realized that those receivers aren't going to run routes. Let's send in Lucas Shaw on a blitz.
3rd and 1. There is Stratford in motion. Newberry has the ball in the backfield, and he is tripped up for a loss, and Jalen Caden eventually tracked him down. It's a loss of 2 on that one, but what pursuit there by the Lake Highlands defense as they had A.J. Newberry dead to rights in the backfield.
It could have been a much bigger loss, but when he reversed field, Jaden Stanley, the quarterback, gave him a good block to clear him out for gain a little bit of yardage there, but that's Lake Highlands defense is really answering the call. South Grand Prairie is going to attempt a field goal here. putting the ball down at the 20 of the tee, so it'll be a 30-yard attempt.
And so it will be the senior Zach Thomas who is out to kick this 30-yard field goal.
Right hash.
Yeah, 30-yarder on the right hash. Here's the snap. Bobbled. The kick is up. It's away, and it is good right inside the right upright. And so a win there for the Lake Highlands defense as they keep South Grand Prairie out of the end zone. But with 10:35 left to go in the first half, Lake Highlands still holding on to a 2-score lead at 14-3. And want to give a thank you to Ryan Amerson and Energy Attic. Contact Energy Attic and transform your living spaces by transforming your attic. Energy Attic helps improve your home climate control, reducing those cold and hot pockets, making it more comfortable throughout, and saving you up to 40% on your energy bill. Schedule your free Energy Attic audit online at energyattic.com. Energy Attic, attic solutions to transform your life.
Well, I tell you, Philip, a coach a long time ago said field goals will get you beat. And right now, Lake Highlands is playing a touchdown game. South Grand Prairie kicked a field goal. That's a big win for Lake Highlands. This could come down to a field goal, but right now, that was a big win for the Lake Highlands defense to hold South Grand Prairie to just 3 points. And Lake Highlands has set the tone for the game so far.
Well, it was a very good start here, and for the Lake Highlands defense, they forced a turnover on downs. They've already got an interception, and on that third drive, they keep South Grand Prairie out of the end zone. And so far, I'd have to say, if you are the Lake Highlands defensive staff, you have to be very pleased. Kick on the way. Donaldson retreats to the 7-yard line, brings it out near the near hash mark, reverses field. He's sensing something here. A flag comes down behind him as he is tackled at the 19-yard line. And unfortunately, I think we may have a hold here on Lake Highlands from the looks of it.
Well, that was a very risky return there, but Shamar, he got turned around and caught the ball kind of over his head facing toward the goal line. And then when he turned around and tried to dig his foot in the ground to get going, it slipped. Again, we're seeing an example of this turf proving pretty slippery. And I'm sure GPISD may be replacing it in the next year or two.
Well, with the offseason coming up here, that might be a good time for some turf replacement. In the meantime, Lake Highlands takes over at their own 5-yard line after that holding penalty. And so they have a little bit of a ways to go here, but with 10:27 left in the second quarter, this is a good opportunity for a long, sustained drive.
This is when you like to have a great running back like Deontay Dean when you're backed up to your own goal line. Just give it to him and let him get some yardage.
Dean with Holly in the backfield at his left hip. Holly takes the snap. They go right to Dean, outside left tackle, and gets to, let's say, the 9-yard line for a gain of 4. And that was Eddie Foster who makes the stop, outside left tackle. So 4-yard gain, that's a good start.
Yeah, the hole was to his left, and Deontay didn't recognize it at first. He started toward the middle, which I'm sure the way the play was designed. But once he scooted to the left, he found some yardage. And now they're starting to get out of the hole a little bit. Second down, they'd really love to get a first down here and get some breathing room.
9:58 and counting here in the second quarter. Moving Donaldson in motion in the backfield. And they set Donaldson up for the screen. And a missed block there by Malley. But Donaldson able to make a little something happen out of that. And gets a gain of 1 even after all that. But Donaldson was nearly stopped for no gain after that.
Yeah, Shamar is so light. Unfortunately, he can be easy to bring down if you can catch him. That's the key. He really needed the blocking set up a little better on that play. They ran him in motion toward the quarterback, and then he went out, and then Trip Holly takes the snap and throws it to him immediately, and it just wasn't blocked up, set up well.
3rd and 5 here from the 10. Holly takes the snap. Design rollout to his left. Feels the pressure, escapes, goes to his right, and decides to take it himself, tries to use his legs to get the first down. He'll be a few yards short as he is brought down to the 14-yard line. And so
it's going to be close.
Yeah, it'll be a bit close. And got to give Holly credit for trying to make something happen here, but it will be short of the first down, and out comes the punting.
Yeah, it looks like he's about a yard or two short. That's too far to try that deep in their own territory. Now, punting with this wind tonight and this cold is going to be quite an adventure for Shalom Peter. He's going to stand at his own goal line to receive the snap.
And so Shalom Peter ready to send this one away. Matthew Ramirez, the top receiver for South Grand Prairie, back to return this one. Oh, a nice punt here by Peter. Look at this.
If he gets the roll, and he did.
A nice roll there. Ramirez picks it up at the 47-yard line. How about that coverage there to send it along the way? Myron McGee, who's had a lot of starts at corner, with some nice coverage on the punt team. And so South Grand Prairie takes over near midfield. But a good punt from Peter, all things considered.
Yeah, and there wasn't much of a rush from South Grand Prairie, so Shalom had time to punt it and got off a good one. And our man Myron McGee with the play right there, good coverage. That puts the ball right at midfield on the 50 for the Warriors. And with 8:19 left in the half, I would really love to cut it closer going into halftime. We'll see what the Lake Highlands defense can dial up again.
Stanley takes the snap. They give it to Newberry. Makes a nice cut and gets into Lake Highlands territory. Carson Klein spins him around to the 42-yard line. So a pretty decent gain there for A.J. Newberry. He just continues to get it chunks at a time.
Yeah, his line really helped him out there. He just followed the blockers and created a lot of traffic. It was hard for the Lake Highlands linebackers to find him.
2nd and 1. They go right back to Newberry, again to the right side, to the 39-yard line before Johnson and Peter combine on the gang tackle. But that is enough for a first down and move those chains once again.
Yeah, Andre Johnson shot in from the defensive end spot to catch him from behind, and that is not an easy thing to do, folks. That takes some talent.
And so 1st and 10 from the Lake Highlands 39. Stanley with the play action as a man downfield. There's going to be trouble. Great play by Carson Klein to bat that one away, intended for Duncan Kantenberger on the far seam. And that was some great awareness there by the all-district safety from a season ago.
Carson Klein had him covered like a blanket. I mean, there was no way that pass was going to be completed. He stuck his arm up and came close to getting an interception, which would have been huge, but now it's going to be 2nd and 10. But Lake Highlands secondary definitely has answered the call tonight.
2nd and 10. Going to Ramirez on the wide receiver screen. Well read there by Wesley Scott. Tackles him at the 45 for a big pass at the far side in between the hash and the numbers. And how about Wesley Scott coming up for some run support there?
All right. He's making a bid for player of the game right now. The interception, and then that great play. They didn't block him. They had a bubble screen set up, and they did not block him. And they did not call a face mask like the last time Lake Highlands stopped him short on a play like that.
3rd down passing situation here. Stanley scrambling out to his right. Flags coming into the backfield. Stanley cannot get the pressure away. He tosses the ball into the stand. I would have to think that would be intentional grounding there.
It's
but
going to be holding and intentional grounding.
Ooh, man. Flags flying in as Stanley trying to scramble to the right. And so there's a whole mess of yellow laundry on the turf. So we'll have to see what ends up sticking here.
You saw Lake Highlands defensive front just collapse, totally penetrated. Then all of a sudden you see him go down because they got tackled.
And here we are. A holding on South Grand Prairie, which is declined.
Yeah.
And intentional grounding, which will stick, and so there will be a loss of downs. Keith, by the way, with all the yellow laundry, I think I may have forgotten one of those color-catching die sheets for to bring them here, because all that yellow laundry, you don't want all those colors mixed up.
No, you don't. But yeah, that's a obvious choice by Lake Highlands to go with the grounding call. That's a spot foul. The referee dropped the marker there, so you lose the down and the yardage. Now it's 3rd and very long for the Warriors, who have so far not shown much proficiency in the passing game.
And so the punt team comes out for South Grand Prairie. And we have a little bit of a situation here as the scoreboard reads 3rd down. The down marker reads 3rd down, but the Lake Highlands coaching staff is saying, "Hey, whoa, this should be 4th down," and that's right. That should be correct with the loss of downs on intentional grounding. So definitely a miscommunication here going on. Now we got 4th down. There we go. All right, now we got it all situated here.
Well, it's only the 11th game of the season.
Practice makes perfect, don't you know, Keith?
That's true. So that means South Grand Prairie substitutes some of his linemen, but their quarterback is their punter. So he's not lined up deep, but okay, excuse me, they have a receiver as their punter. Quarterback is the up man.
Austin DeLay is back to punt this one away. Lucas Shaw at the 30-yard line to return this one. 6:51 left in the second quarter. Bit of a high snap, but DeLay skips to his right, gets that punt away. Very short punt. Takes a South Grand Prairie bounce to the 33-yard line, and that is where it will be picked up by Darion Jackson, the senior linebacker. And Lake Highlands, once again, holding tough on the defensive side of things. With 6:43 to go in the second quarter, they still lead 14-3.
That was a short line drive punt. That I don't know if he was trying to avoid getting it up into the wind, but you see what a difference it makes when Shalom Peter booms a punt and gets some good yardage and changes the field. Now, Lake Highlands is in pretty good shape here at about their own, what we're calling it, the 34.
Good start here. They love to make this a 3-score game on this drive. Shotgun snap, gives to Dean, makes a nice cut, but an even better tackle by Darion Jackson, the senior linebacker, who stops him for a loss of 1 in between the hashes.
That play just took too long to develop, kind of a delayed handoff, and by the time Deontay got it and was heading with a full head of steam to the line, the holes had closed up. So they'll just try it again here, second and maybe 11.
They're going with an empty backfield in this formation. Dean is in the slot to Holly's left here. So Dean, of course, played receiver just a season ago. 3-man rush here. A quick out to Mouty. Makes a nice catch at the 37. Slips a couple of tackles to the 45-yard line. And he fights forward to the 46. And that's enough to move the chains for a Lake Highlands first down. Ian Mouty as tough as they come.
That should have been just a 2 or 3 yard game, but Ian Mouty refused to go down and got the first down. And a new set of downs for Lake Highlands, move those chains. It's that kind of effort it takes to win playoff games.
5:51 left to go in this first half. Holly lining up in the shotgun again. Moving Germany in motion from left to right. And we have a little bit of a flag here.
I bet the refs think somebody moved when Germany went in motion, yeah.
Yep, there is the call. It is a false start. And so it is a 5-yard loss. So 1st and 15 coming up here for Lake Highlands.
But if you're going to make that penalty, do it on first down. Then you get 3 shots at making it.
Exactly. Clock continues to, well, it's not running here. Now it starts to run again. 5:31 left in the first half. Schreiner is all by himself to the right side of this formation. He has a one-on-one matchup out there with Devin McCune.
We're going to see a lot of different formations from Lake Highlands tonight.
Absolutely. End around to Donaldson. Trying to get the block from Davies. He does. Makes a cut. Gets to the 45. And there you see Shamar Donaldson getting involved with the running game here and putting that speed on display.
The last 5 games of the season, they've pretty much all been routes for Lake Highlands, so no need to show too much or get too deep into the playbook. But now it's playoff time, and take all the no holds barred and use everything you can to get a win and survive and advance.
2nd and 8 here from their own 44-yard line. Ball on the far hash mark. Offense going from right to left here. Holly looking to the sideline across the way to get the coaching signals. Yeah. And it looks like we're going to have a timeout called by Lake Highlands. And so head coach Lonnie Jordan wants to talk things over. 4:34 left to go in the second quarter as Lake Highlands is up 14-3 and gives us an opportunity to thank Nick Bass and Greenleaf Roofing. Greenleaf Roofing is DFW's preferred roofing company and the official roofing company of Champion Sports Radio. Family owned and operated, Greenleaf Roofing is the #1 choice for all your roofing needs. Residential, multifamily, commercial, storm restoration, they do it all, and they have a ton of lifelong customers. Find out why and get a free quote by visiting greenleaf-roofing.com.
Well, it seems like Lake Highlands is kind of trying to drain the play clock and, have a long drive and ideally score with not much time left for South Grand Prairie to answer. But at that time, they actually they had to get some things straightened out, so they went ahead and called the timeout. And now they're going to come out of it, and we'll see what they have drawn up. But I wouldn't that double pass Lake Highlands through. I wouldn't be surprised to see more plays like that if they need them. Right now, with a 14-3 lead, Lake Highlands can just keep doing what they're doing.
And so out of the timeout, 2nd and 12. Holly takes the snap. A draw play to Deontay Dean. Gets into South Grand Prairie territory at the 48-yard line. Outside the numbers on the far side. And a good chunk play once again for Deontay Dean.
Well, that time the handoff delay worked in Lake Highlands' advantage because they let the defensive line penetrate enough so that when Deontay got the ball, he could shoot past them, otherwise known as a draw play, like you said.
It was well designed there, and there was a whole bunch of space in front of Deontay Dean. Here is a third down play. They go right back to Dean, tries to find some room to the outside of right tackle. Not a whole lot to be found. Ends up being a loss on that play. Great coverage there by the junior free safety, Ahmad Jenkins, who makes the tackle for loss.
Well, he was able to slip one tackle, but he couldn't slip them all, and now it's 4th and long. Oh, you hate to see him have to punt the ball away here, and maybe they won't. They've got the offense still out there.
It looks like Lake Highlands will go for it at the South Grand Prairie 48. 4th and 5. They need to get to the 43, it looks like, for a first down.
Kick.
Well, it looks like Holly will squib kick this one instead. So a punt. It takes a nice Lake Highlands bounce. Continues to trickle inside the 10-yard line, and Ian Mowdy picks it up at the 8. And so good punt there by Trip Holly as they elect to flip the field position just a bit. With 3:22 left to go in the second quarter. 14-3 lead for Lake Highlands as South Grand Prairie will take over at their own 9-yard line.
You know, when you got an athlete like Trip Holly at quarterback, he's perfectly capable of punting the ball for you in a quick kick situation like that. You know, when you see him line up, they're going to run a play on 4th down, but then the quarterback takes a couple of steps back. That means it's going to be a quick kick. And they were just trying to give South Grand Prairie something to think about, another look there. Take advantage of not having a return man back there.
So Stanley is back there in the shotgun. 1st and 10 from the 9. They give it to Newberry out to the 10-yard line. Picks up a block, gets to the 15, and is tackled by Chung Lian at the 17 eventually. But Newberry able to stretch that run out to the near side over to the right and got a nice gain out of it.
Yeah, they had Sam Hutton blocked over there. You could almost call holding on that one, but now we got a
bobbled snap to Stanley, has to pick it up, has to improvise, and Shalom Peter tracks him down, say you're not going anywhere. Big loss on that play, and Christian Tate and Andre Johnson celebrating that as well.
Yeah, that was terrific, Johnny. That's why it took him a while to find the quarterback back there, but that bobbled snap, the snap bounced to the quarterback, I believe is what happened, and he had to pick it up, and it was just a big scramble. And, you know, it's like Highlands, the linebackers and defensive linemen, they don't waste any time going back there to pounce on mistakes.
3 wide receivers to Stanley's right in this one. Takes the snap. 3rd down and 7. And the play is to Ramirez. Makes the
stuff, but that's the first time.
50. Oh, Prairie touchdown, 70 yards all the way to the house, and there is the danger, speed, and power of A.J. Newberry, and South Grand Prairie has some momentum now. They are right back into this one as they trail 14-9.
Just a huge hole on the left side, and no one could fill it. Newberry got a good head of steam going, and he was just too hard to bring down. Broke through the initial coverage, and it was a foot race, and he was not going to lose that race. It just shows how dangerous South Grand Prairie is. They have so much talent.
Absolutely, they do. And the point after up by Zach Thomas. It is good. And so 14-10 lead now for Lake Highlands, but South Grand Prairie has a little bit of life now. And, of course, they go back to arguably their team MVP in A.J. Newberry to get the job done.
You know, South Grand Prairie has not played a perfect game so far by any means. They've had some sloppiness, some penalties, some bobbles and fumbles. But, you know, when you've got an A.J. Newberry, that easily can be erased with just one play because it's just pure talent just taking over. And, you know, you can't teach talent. And, boy, A.J. Newberry has it in buckets.
And there's a reason why he is a commit to Colorado as well, and so
that's right.
The talent is definitely there, and he has all the tangibles and intangibles you want for anybody that is looking for D1 talent. He's definitely got it.
Of course, Lake Highlands has a pretty good running back too.
Yeah, they sure do. But thankfully, we keep him for one more year.
Yeah, it's true. That's
the plus.
But we'll see how they use him with 1:56 left. Lake Highlands would really love to get another score here to finish out the half. And Lake Highlands receives the kickoff to start the second half, so they could get the little double dip here if they can get a score in 1:56 with the 2-minute offense.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. As Thomas on the approach, boots this one away. McGee settles under it. Gets at the 13-yard line. Has a seam up the middle. He bobbles it. And it looks like Lake Highlands has lost it on special teams.
No.
And, hold on, Deontay Dean just picked up on it. He picks up the rocky bounce, and oh, my.
Thank you, Deontay.
Woo. Take a deep breath there. For a moment there, I thought that possession was going to be fumbled away, pardon the expression.
Yes.
But Deontay Dean with a heads-up play and may have saved Lake Highlands bacon here in the first half.
Well, yeah.
Oh, my.
Myron had a great head of steam.
He sure
was a
did.
great run back, but he got hit right in the gut there and popped that ball loose.
1:49 left. Direct snap. Dean takes it himself. Follows a block from Holly. Gets to the 43-yard line as they set up Holly out wide to the left there for that direct snap. A little bit of a wildcat formation here to get things started.
I wasn't sure if Lake Highlands had recovered the fumble or not because I was looking for Holly at quarterback when they lined up, and I couldn't find him. But, yeah, that's a thing they've worked on with Deontay as a wildcat. Deontay is listed as the third quarterback on the depth chart, and now you see why.
So Holly back in the shotgun snap. Quick out to Osarolo, complete, gets to the 50, tries to fight forward, but is brought down out of bounds into the South Grand Prairie sideline. They keep the clock moving, however, but getting to the 50 is enough to move the sticks.
Yeah, it keeps the chains moving, too.
That's right.
And he got out of bounds, so, everything's good on that play for Lake Highlands. So.
Clock continues to run. Final minute of play in the first half. They do have 2 timeouts, however, so whole playbook is still available. 4 wide receivers out to Holly's right. It's an empty backfield. Setting up the screen, gets out to Dean, has a couple of blocks to the 45, and fights forward to the 43-yard line, and I would suspect that Lake Highlands might use a timeout here soon.
Yeah, it's at 42 seconds now.
Yeah, but they choose not to. They're trying to hurry back to the line of scrimmage here. 37 seconds and counting. They're at the South Grand Prairie 43.
Using up a lot of seconds here, folks.
Time continues to run. I don't know what's going on.
It's making me nervous is what they're doing.
Exactly. Holly in the shotgun snap. Takes it, play action to the right side. Mounty could not make the catch. The throw was a bit behind him. McCune on the coverage makes it incomplete, but Mounty had a lot of space in front of him. He had a good one-on-one matchup, but Holly just missed him on the timing.
Yeah, a crossing pattern, and Mounty had a step on his man. Tripp just couldn't have connected with him, but he threw it just behind him. Maybe they'll try that again. I'd like to see them try that with Shamar Donaldson. If you remember the crossing pattern he scored on against Jesuit.
Yes. So 3 wide receivers out to Holly's left. They stack Donaldson behind Germany here, but now as South Grand Prairie decides to use a timeout here. 22 seconds left in the first half. As South Grand Prairie decides to use that first timeout. I want to give a thank you to Steve Swanson at Whirly Ball for sponsoring this broadcast. Corporate events, team building, and private parties are more fun when you are zipping around in a Whirly Bug, and they have the most affordable laser tag in town. 2 locations to serve you, Plano and Hurst. Visit them at whirlyballtexas.com.
2 timeouts left, 22 seconds. They've got to get a first down here, though. It's 3rd down and, what would you say, 2, 3? And it's a big play for Lake Highlands. If they don't get the first down, then they've got to worry about running out the clock. Don't want to give South Grand Prairie a shot.
No, absolutely. And, well, the nice thing is that because they have 2 timeouts, the middle of the field is still available to them. So you don't necessarily need to focus on the sidelines right now.
Yeah, obviously, they'd love to get a situation for a Shalom Peter field goal attempt. But I think they're kind of thinking 6-2 with the speed they've got on the field.
Absolutely. Donaldson lined up behind Marshall on the left side. Osarolo out wide to the left. 3-man front being brought here by South Grand Prairie. Holly with a designed rollout to the left.
Shamar.
There is Shamar, makes the catch, tries to fall out of bounds, and a nice heads-up play by Shamar Donaldson. Gets to the 35. It is a first down and stops the clock. 12 seconds left. Actually, the clock keeps running.
Yeah. He was flopping around trying to get out of bounds.
Yeah, he was. A timeout call by Lake Highlands stops the clock with 9 seconds left. The ball is at the South Grand Prairie 34-yard line. And you would think this might be a time for a shot to the end zone.
Yeah, they had that play. Tripp Marshall lined up on the line of scrimmage, and then Shamar was right behind him. So you knew they had something planned where, Tripp has been used as a blocking receiver a lot, something to free up Shamar, and they did. They got the ball to him. They just couldn't get it to him in stride moving forward, and he ended up having to get low and catch the ball and fall to the ground. And as we saw, he tried to do a little like a seal move.
Yeah, really.
Scooting over to the sideline. But once you're down in high school football, you're down. You can't afford yourself at all. No forward progress. But Good try by Shamar, but
absolutely, and a little bit of a break here for Lake Highlands. The official has just asked to put more seconds on the game clock, and so 14 seconds left for Lake Highlands instead of 9, and so that is a little bit of a break here for Lake Highlands.
That's definitely you can get 2 plays in there, maybe 3 if you're really efficient.
And so now they come out in this 4 wide receivers set. Dean and Holly in the backfield by themselves. They move Donaldson in motion. And Dean fumbles a handoff. They cannot get anywhere. Marco De La Pena makes a stop in the backfield. And the timeout has to be used here by Lake Highlands. And oh no, Deontay Dean is down. This is not a good sign.
He got blindsided.
Oh no.
He didn't see Big 91 coming. Took the full force of the hit head on.
My.
And they got slammed to the turf. But we've seen with Deontay that happened to him before. Now he's up walking. He's looking in good shape. But sometimes you just get the breath knocked out of you.
And so Lake Highlands just used their final timeout. 9 seconds left in the first half. And they will add 1 more second to the game clock, and so we have 10 seconds left in this one. And so with no timeouts left on this sequence here, I don't know. I mean, really, your only option here is to take a shot at the end zone, try to get rid of it quick.
Yeah, I mean, Shalom's got a good leg, but I don't know if it's that far. It'd be what is it? The ball's at the 36, so add 17 to that, and
so 50 would be a 53-yarder. I think.
He possibly could make that, but in this wind, you don't know if this wind is going to help you or hurt you the way it's swirling around.
I would guess if this was, let's say if it was maybe August, early September,
right,
I'd consider letting him kick it. At this condition, that might be a little dicey.
And Deontay Dean is back out there. That's a good sign.
Good, absolutely. Very good news here indeed. And the last comment about Shalom Peter, I mean, it's not a question of his leg talent, it's just the current conditions out there.
Exactly.
4 wide receivers out here. 2nd and 2 coming up here for Lake Highlands. They need to get to the 34 for a first down, but they are thinking end zone. Marshall in motion, right to left. Holly sets up, does a pump fake. He is pressured, has to get rid of it. It is incomplete. 5 seconds left. As it now comes into a 3rd down and 2. I think South Grand Prairie is wanting an intentional grounding, and some of the coaches are absolutely going ballistic.
Yeah, trying to figure out what receiver was over there that Tripp was throwing to, but he must have had a man out there. But yeah, the South Grand Prairie coaching staff is not happy about that.
No, they are not. I mean, I've seen Hop and mad before, but I think that just took it to another level.
They'll really be mad if Lake Highlands scores here with 5 seconds left.
Yes, that absolutely they would. So potentially the final offensive play of this first half. 4 wide receivers out. Donaldson in the slot to the left. Holly takes the snap. Have to get rid of it quickly. He does to the far side and nearly intercepted as Marshall slipped on his route. And an incomplete pass intended for Tripp Marshall. Jean-Marc Sadi, the linebacker, in there on coverage. And so 1 second left with a 4th and 2 coming up here.
I don't think Tripp Marshall thought he slipped.
No, probably not.
You think he thinks he was helped to the turf there? Mm-hmm. But that was fortunate. It wasn't intercepted. The ball kind of sailed on Tripp there.
Yes,
that
really
long
good
sideline route. Now we are going to try a field goal here.
Okay. At least try to come away with some points on the board here. A 53-yard attempt for Shalom Peter, closer to the left hash mark.
If this isn't the school record, it's close.
And the wind, it's swirling, so hard to gauge whether he's going to be kicking into it or with it. Carson Klein, back to hold. High snap. Kick is away. Line drive. Does it have enough? It's not quite. It just missed. It is no good. I tell you what, Shalom Peter, that was a good kick.
Yeah, it was sort of a line drive, but it had to be to cut through the wind.
Oh,
it just went under the crossbar.
Oh, wow. And so with that, a very entertaining first half for us here at Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie. As we go to halftime, it is Lake Highlands 14, South Grand Prairie 10. We will take a short break, and when we come back, we will have the halftime show for you on Champion Sports Radio. The halftime show, of course, brought to you by Infinity Solar USA. We will be right back in just a few moments. Welcome back to the Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie. Your halftime score, the Lake Highlands Wildcats 14, South Grand Prairie Warriors 10, as we continue with the Infinity Solar USA halftime show on Champion Sports Radio. And we got some scores that we are keeping an eye on. And so, Keith, let's go ahead and find out what the latest is going on here tonight.
Well, in District 7-6A, all 4 teams that made the playoffs of 7-6A are playing tonight, by the way. Arlington Martin has a 31-3 edge over Burtner. That's not surprising, as Burtner qualified as our 4th place team from the district. They're playing over at Choctaw Stadium, the former home of the Texas Rangers. Jesuit is up 17-14 on Arlington. Jesuit is hosting that game. Arlington giving them a battle there, 17-14. And Highland Park is up 28-14 over Arlington Bowie at half. Highland Park is hosting that game. And now the winner of this game between Lake Highlands and South Grand Prairie will play the winner of Plano and Prosper. Right now, Prosper 14, Plano 3 at halftime. That's a much closer game than many people expected. Prosper is one of the better teams in the state, and they trounced Allen recently. But it's Prosper 14, Plano 3 at halftime. Other area scores at halftime: McKinney 24 over Coppell 7, and Coppell, we know them well because Lake Highlands scrimmaged them before the season. But McKinney has the edge right now, 24-7 at half. And we spoke of Allen. Allen is trailing Louisville at halftime. Louisville 20, Allen 6. That's at the midway point over at Max Goldsmith Stadium. Another area score: Rockwall Heath with just a 1-point lead over Wiley East, 10-9 at halftime. Rockwall Heath 10, Wiley East 9. Duncanville, top area team, they're doing quite well, playing the Bryan Vikings. I know that's a long way to go for a bi-district opponent, but Duncanville 34, Bryan 7. The Duncanville Panthers with a big 34-7 lead. Also, Rockwall, another top area team. Well, they're having a time with Saxe, but Rockwall has a 29-21 lead right now. South Oak Cliff, defending state champion, they are tied scoreless with Mansfield Summit so far, at least the reporting we're getting. And Wiley has a 14-9 lead over Mesquite Horn at half. And then, of course, the big game of the night, at least as far as Megan Kern is concerned, Killeen Harker Heights 16, Mansfield 2 at halftime. So Mansfield gets a safety, but they're going to need a little more than that. They trail Killeen Harker Heights 16-2. And that's our scores.
Well, I got to tell you that much. The score between McKinney and Coppell, that is a surprise.
Yeah, McKinney, we thought Coppell was one of the better teams around here, but McKinney also, too. McKinney's always got a lot of athletes, whether it's football or basketball. So that's one of the better matchups, closer matchups in the first round in the area. Of course, this is one, too, as well, with Lake Highlands and South Grand Prairie slugging it out with the 14-10 Lake Highlands lead at halftime.
Absolutely, and of course, I think you also mentioned it during the scoreboard update, that matchup between Prosper and Plano. Prosper only up 14-3, so Plano giving them a fight right now.
Yeah, I think you would love for Plano to pull up the upset.
Right.
I think the matchup would be better for either Lake Highlands or South Grand Prairie to go against Plano, because Prosper is really loaded. They have really become a power. Just a few years ago, they were a small town team, but now they are one of the Metroplex's powerhouse juggernauts, and they also have a really terrific stadium. If you ever get a chance to go up there, it is nice.
Absolutely, I mean, it's definitely one of the stadiums. It's a must visit for that, yeah. Is for sure. And we're trying to. When I'm actually going to be trying to get up the halftime stats here. We apologize if the broadcast has been a little bit more disjointed than usual. Let's just say we had some adventures from the technical aspect trying to get things set up, but thankfully we are chugging along here at this point. But we're going to pull up some of the numbers for you here at the half. As I mentioned earlier, Lake Highlands is up 14-10 over the South Grand Prairie Warriors. And Lake Highlands, while we're trying to get these numbers up here, Lake Highlands got off to a very fast start, up 14-0. But South Grand Prairie is showing the fight that they have had all season long. They are slowly bringing themselves back little by little, and right now it's kind of safe to argue that they may have a little bit of momentum right now. So Lake Highlands will look to stem that tide a bit with starting the ball with the ball in the second half.
Well, Lake Highlands jumped out to the 14-0 lead, and South Grand Prairie is too good of a team to let that stand. They did trim the lead now to a 4-point advantage for Lake Highlands, and the key right now is going to be adjustments at halftime. Which team can make the better, more proper adjustments, because both teams are trying to throw everything they can at the wall in this game and see what happens. Of course, obviously, I don't think South Grand Prairie is going to deviate too much from giving the ball to Newberry quite a bit, but it definitely is quite the battle right now. Lake Highlands Union against team speed, and the defense for Lake Highlands has been really the impressive side of the ball. They have really slowed down South Grand Prairie. This could easily be, with the talent South Grand Prairie has, this could easily be like 21-0 South Grand Prairie.
Oh, no question. I mean, they had the potential to really blow this game wide open, and so you have to give a lot of credit to the type of start that Lake Highlands got off to, and so that really was a way to kind of put South Grand Prairie on their heels initially, but as time has gone along, you can definitely see South Grand Prairie slowly getting their way back into this one, and I think it'll be a good start to see for Lake Highlands to have the ball to start the second half, and perhaps put this back into his 2-score territory and gives them some space.
Yeah. One thing about South Grand Prairie, they're playing at home, so that's got to help them. They're going to be in their natural environment, and they're not going to panic like they might, a little bit more on the road. But they are at home. They've got a nice home crowd here despite the weather, and it's definitely, still have to say South Grand Prairie has the advantage until that final gun, and if Lake Highlands is on the good side of the scoreboard. Right now, South Grand Prairie is just 4 points behind, and Lake Highlands would be critical if they could get a score on that opening drive of the second half and keep some more distance.
Absolutely, and we will let you listen in to some of the halftime entertainment down on the field. We were able to get our crowd mic fixed here, so a little bit more ambient noise here, and we will let you listen in.
I have the stats if you want them, though.
Oh, yes, actually, let's go to that. So let's break down some of the stats here for this first half.
All right, let me just hand it over to you. How about that?
All right, there we go. Even better. All right, so just to give you a rundown of the first half stats here, South Grand Prairie and Lake Highlands, 9 first downs apiece, so pretty even there. Total yards has been fairly even, 185 for South Grand Prairie, 164 for Lake Highlands, and probably what we expected a little bit. I mean, Lake Highlands, very nice balance between ground and air, 82 apiece, but here is a pretty stark difference. South Grand Prairie with only 17 yards passing and 168 yards on the ground, which, with the way A.J. Newberry's been running, can't say I'm too surprised by that.
But also the way the Lake Highlands secondary has been playing. They've only allowed one downfield completion, and the Lake Highlands secondary has been playing lights out tonight.
They absolutely have. Jaden Stanley only 3 of 8 for 17 yards and an interception, so they've really bottled him up quite nicely. Trip Holly's had a pretty nice game. Nothing really downfield, and we've been kind of keeping it around the line of scrimmage and close to the vest a little bit. Only 8 of 11 for 52 yards at that. But Deontay Dean with the highlight play, 30-yard touchdown pass. So he did have that as well.
Deontay Dean's our big gun as a passer.
yes, absolutely. I mean, he's been doing it all tonight.
Yep.
He really has. And so A.J. Newberry, the leading rusher, can't say I'm too surprised by that. 12 carries for 134 yards and a touchdown. Deontay Dean, 15 carries for 75 and a touchdown. So, and not a whole lot happening on the receiving end of things except for Jack Schreiner leading all receivers, 2 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. And so that is where we stand right now with the numbers from the first half. And we are taking a look at the South Grand Prairie Marching Band that is down on the field currently. We will let you listen in to some of the halftime entertainment as we continue the Infinity Solar USA halftime show.
We had the Lake Highlands drumline perform. They've stopped doing their full halftime performance now. The marching season, contest season. But it was great to see the Lake Highlands drumline out there.
Yes.
And particularly McKay Roan and Parker Beatty out there. A couple of kids I know that were banging on those drums. And it was really a nice performance.
Yes, absolutely. And they've always been some great entertainment for us all season long.
And, of course, the fabulous award-winning high-stepping Highlandettes were right on point once again.
Oh, yes. It is their MO. Perfection is the standard.
And they did not look cold one bit. Beauty knows no pain, as you know.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And we will let you listen into a little bit more of the South Grand Prairie Band, and we will continue the Infinity Solar USA halftime show in just a moment.
2021 Fan Sweetheart is... Congratulations to this year's 2022 Danzo and Fan Sweetheart, Marlon Ford and Kirsten Foley. And the Southern Prairie Warrior Band and staff would like to congratulate the Lake Highlands Band and staff on a great marching season. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation and support. Let's hear it one more time for the South Grand Prairie Mighty Warrior Band! Be ready for the fight start. Mr.
And as the South Grand Prairie Band exits the field, we are going to get you ready for the second half of play here from the Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie. So don't go away. The second half of action is coming your way on Champion Sports Radio and NFHS Network right after this.
If you find a set of keys, please return them to the press box or the elevator under the press box. I get you. Hey, everybody.
And we welcome you back to Gopher Warrior Bowl in Grand Prairie, Texas, as we begin. We're ready to begin the second half of play. Lake Highlands up 14-10 over South Grand Prairie. Philip Kern alongside Keith Whitmire for this one on Champion Sports Radio and the NFHS Network. Glad to have you along with us for this one, Keith. And the big part here is that Lake Highlands will get to start the second half with the ball, and so this will be a good opportunity for them to make this a two-score game because, as we talked about during the halftime show, South Grand Prairie is starting to find its sea legs a little bit and starting to fight their way back into this.
Yeah, and we might see Lake Highlands pull out the stops a little more. I know they've been preparing to using a lot of exotic plays and things like that to try to counterbalance the strength of South Grand Prairie's defense, and they haven't really had to do that too much other than the one halfback pass that they scored the touchdown on. So we'll see what Lake Highlands does here with another chance to move the ball and possibly get points here. I got to tell you, my buddy Ken Coslow, former sports writer, he just texted me at halftime. It's Arlington Martin 31, Burtner 3.
Oh, my.
And Jesuit 20, Arlington 14. I think we pretty much had that in our halftime report, but he just confirmed it for us.
And Zach Thomas kicking this one away from right to left. Donaldson retrieves it at the 15, makes a couple of nice cuts. Shakes a tackler, gets to the 30. A flag comes in at the 24. And I suspect this may be a hold somewhere on Lake Highlands.
Yeah, Shamar refused to go down, and a lot of times that ends up creating holding penalties.
It is a 10-yard holding penalty on Lake Highlands on the return, and so a good return by Shamar Donaldson goes for naught, and so back up Lake Highlands a little bit deeper into their own territory, and they will begin this possession at the 14-yard line.
He just wouldn't go down, and the longer the back stays up and fights and refuses to go down, the more opportunity it is for those linemen to get themselves hooked into the defender, and that ends up causing a holding penalty. It was a late flag, that's for sure.
And so we will see how Lake Highlands starts out here. Opening possession of the third quarter. Moving Donaldson in motion, and they give it to Dean. Good hole outside left tackle. He gets to the 27-yard line. Chunk play again for Deontay Dean, and it is a first down for Lake Highlands.
He had one man to beat her. He would have taken it to the house, but that one man made a great open field tackle on him. And so Deontay getting off to a great start here. It was really reassuring for Lake Highlands, especially after suffering the holding penalty on the kickoff.
Picking up right where he left off, as we mentioned, 75 yards, on 15 carries and a touchdown, and so getting ever so closer to that century mark here. 3 wide receivers of Holly's left for this scenario. First and 10, going right back to Dean. Slices through into the 33-yard line outside the far hash mark. A good run there for Deontay Dean as he continues to get that South Grand Prairie front seven fits.
Deontay is running with determination. He's taking that handoff, and he is bursting forward like we rarely even see him do. That's a really good sign for Lake Highlands. If they can just ride the back of Deontay Dean, they can really go far in this game.
Absolutely. The run game has been their bread and butter all season long, and it continues to be as such, as they will try to make this a two-score game. Again, 1 minute and 10 seconds gone by here in this third quarter, coming up on 10:49 left and counting. Holly takes the snap for the second down, finds Donaldson. It slips through his hand. It is incomplete. A couple of flags come in right at the end. It may have been a little bit of hand fighting between.
Yeah, they call offensive pass interference with Jack Schreiner.
Yeah, it was Schreiner, and it looked like Jean-Marc Sadi who were kind of going at each other. And let's hear the call. Oh. Well, Keith, you had it correct. It is offensive pass interference on Jack Schreiner, and that is unfortunate. That kind of stalls the momentum here for Lake Highlands.
He was just trying to clear out block for Shamar there, and the pass went, of course, misfire to Shamar, and he gets called for the interference anyway.
Well, after all that, it becomes a second and long. They will have a 2nd and 13 coming up here. Need to get to the...
Oh, it's more than that.
It looks more than that. Yeah, you're absolutely right here. Holly drops back, finds Mowdy in between the hashes, gets to the 30, 35-yard line, and to the 38 after all that. So down in distance does not matter much. Yeah. Ian Mowdy, a big first down.
The further you push him back, the further they'll go and get the first down.
Absolutely. So a great play there by Ian Mouty to get the first down for Lake Highlands. 10:32 and counting here in this one. 1st and 10 from their own 38-yard line. Ball closer to the nearest hash mark as they have 3 wide receivers to the left. A lot of pressure stacked up for Grand Prairie. It looks like they're trying to bring a 4th guy here in pressure. Instead, it is Dean. Handoff, stretch run, outside left tackle to the 45-yard line. Flag comes in. There might be a hold on Lake Highlands as Deontay Dean got outside the numbers to the far sideline.
The hold was called on the interior, like between the hashes, but Deontay was quickly to the edge. That hold had nothing to do with the play. That's what's frustrating. Deontay got to the edge so quickly and then
really
made people miss. He had a nice block there from Osleroy, too. But they called one of the linemen for that. I guess that's the way it goes, unfortunately. But at least they did it on 1st down, but now it's 1st and 20.
Right, exactly. Back them up to their own 28-yard line. Have a couple of plays to make up for this here. They've done it once before.
But I wouldn't advise them getting it too many penalties.
No, exactly. Dean tries to cut outside, gets to the 30, and is stood up by a whole sea of red. And unlike biblical times, the Red Sea does not part for Deontay Dean as he only got to the 30-yard line.
Yeah. It was more like a crimson tide. But
yeah, true.
That was just one of the few plays that haven't worked for Lake Highlands in the running game. 2nd and long. Looks like a sure passing down. We're going to have quads right, 4 receivers right. We saw that one formation once in the first half.
That's right, we did.
They've got Leland, Germany at the point of the diamond in that formation.
Osa Roller out wide to the left by himself. Holly steps up, feels the pressure, has to get out of there. Another flag comes in the Lake Highlands backfield. A.J. Moore making the tackle at the 33-yard line, and Archer Davies a little slow to get up, but he seems okay now. But looks to be another hold on Lake Highlands. Oh, my.
Makes you wonder if South Grand Prairie coaches didn't say something to the refs at halftime to watch for holding. I don't know. But this is a rash of holding penalties for Lake Highlands after having a pretty clean first half.
If my math is correct, that's at least 3 penalties on this opening drive here for Lake Highlands. That has got to be so frustrating for
it's really
Jordan.
scuttling what was a promising drive and such a critical drive to start the second half. Now Lake Highlands is again way behind the change, 2nd and forever.
So all the way back to their own 21-yard line, and so it becomes a 2nd and 27. They need to get to the 48-yard line for a first down. A little bit of a ways to go here. Only a couple of plays to get there. Donaldson in motion, goes into the backfield. They give it to Dean, tries to find a hole. Instead, he finds the waiting arms of Darian Jackson right at the 25-yard line on the far hash mark to set up a 3rd and very long.
Well, you can either try to throw it deep to make the first down, or you can just try to get some more room for your punter there and not give us so much field position. So 3rd down and what seems like forever on this one. We'll call it a 3rd and 22, ball at the 26. Mouty out wide to the right by himself. Donaldson in the slot. Germany is in there as the H-back. Holly takes the snap, and they give it to Dean. He's got some space, but he is tackled right at the 28-yard line. Darian Jackson with a nice tackle in between the hashes. Does not let Dean get any further, and Lake Highlands forced to summon the punt team. You really don't like the body language the way the second half has started. And the mistakes that Lake Highlands have been flagged for. Now they're having, it should have been a promising, it started out as a promising first drive to start the second half, and now Lake Highlands is punting after a series of penalties and mistakes.
And so Shalom Peter back at the 16-yard line to punt this one away. Matthew Ramirez back to return this. High punt, but Peter gets it away. A little bit of a shallow punt, but it goes into the other side of the field. And it trickles to a stop at the 44-yard line. Picked up eventually by Colin Keaton, but a promising drive is scuttled by just one too many penalties, a lot of mistakes, and Lake Highlands comes up empty on that opening drive.
I think that punt may have gotten knocked down a little bit by the wind, and they didn't get the roll they got on a previous punt. But now South Grand Prairie is in really good shape at their own 44, and it's once again the Lake Highlands defense is going to have to answer the call. Sloan Peter was bent over before they lined up. He's obviously hurting from that first half incident when he got injured.
7:30 to go in the third quarter. Stanley in the shotgun. Man in motion here for South Grand Prairie. Stanley takes it to the other side. Had the whole Lake Highlands defense juked out of its mind there as he gets to the 48-yard line outside the far hash mark. A good start there for the quarterback, Jaden Stanley.
Great fake handoff there.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very underappreciated skill. The quarterbacks who really are good ball handlers. The thing about Shalom Peter, he got hurt as a kicker. He flies around as a linebacker, but it was kicking when he got run into that caused the injury that he's suffering with right now.
4-yard gain. Stanley drops back to pass, complete to Wesley Luster at the 45-yard line in Lake Highlands territory, and immediately brought down by Carson Klein. But a key first down as Jaden Stanley finds his target, and they continue to move the chains.
That was an amazing pass. He like 4 Lake Highlands defenders surrounding him, but he still made the catch. Didn't go anywhere after that, though, but a completion for a first down, that's all they needed.
1st and 10 from the Lake Highlands 45. Stanley in the shotgun. Sets up. Quick pass to Ramirez at the near side of the 40 and pushed out of bounds by Chung Lian at the 35-yard line. And with forward progress, should be enough to move the sticks. And they do. First down, South Grand Prairie.
Well, they've been riding their running back Newberry, but now they're using the short passing game to move the ball. I think that's an adjustment they may have seen or opted to go to at halftime.
And a little bit of an adjustment here, and you can see that Jaden Stanley starting to get a bit more comfortable in the pocket there.
Well, they haven't had luck throwing the ball deep. Lake Highlands' secondary has been too good, but they can hit them with the short passes.
Ramirez in motion, left to right. Stanley takes the snap from shotgun, steps up to the far sideline. Catch made by Stratford outside the numbers to the 20, and a big chunk play for South Grand Prairie. Pushed out of bounds to the 18-yard line, and Julian Stratford, the senior receiver, with a first down reception.
Well, momentum is surely in South Grand Prairie's favor now after the muddled drive Lake Highlands had to open the half, and now South Grand Prairie is moving the ball almost at will. But they haven't scored yet. It's still time for the Lake Highlands defense to make a big play or hold them to a field goal.
South Grand Prairie could take its first lead of the night here on this drive. 6:27 left in the third quarter. Stratford in motion, right to left. Stanley takes the handoff. It's actually to Newberry. Slips a couple of tackles. Has a first down inside the 5-yard line. And, it's a fumble. Looks like it was stripped. And Wesley Scott with another turnover.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my word.
I just said there was still time for the Lake Highlands defense to make a big play. And they came up with again. Is that man Wesley Scott once again an interception in the first half and now a fumble recovery in the second half. Oh, that saved Lake Highlands much trouble there. Saved us at least maybe a field goal or if not a touchdown.
Now
South Grand Prairie was going to have the ball at the 5-yard line.
Man, you know what? I know he does basketball, but Mark Jackson's line is mama. There goes that man. That is applicable right here.
That's right.
Oh, my word. 1st and 10 now for Lake Highlands at their own 6-yard line. A big turnover. Going right back to Dean as he goes right in between the tackles. Keeps in between the hashes to the 8-yard line for a gain of 2. But Wesley Scott responsible for 2 turnovers now for this Lake Highlands defense. And, oh, boy, that was even bigger than the first.
And Wesley Scott just this week signed a scholarship to play baseball at Ouachita Baptist. So if he keeps playing like this, he might have to play a little football, too, in college.
No, they might let him walk on. Who knows?
Well, I'd let him play for me.
Exactly. I would, too.
It's funny, just the week earlier, Cliff Harris spoke to the Lake Highlands football team. Of course, Cliff Harris is a product of Ouachita Baptist.
Holly dropping back. He's into the end zone. Dumps it off on the screen to Dean to the left side. Tries to find some semblance of running room and gets to the 11-yard line before he is tripped up out of bounds. And that will keep the clock running here. Sets up a third down. They're going to give him forward progress to the 13, so a little bit better than we thought.
Yeah, you don't like to see your quarterback in the end zone, but Tripp had plenty of time, got rid of it to Deontay, who, unfortunately, Deontay had to pretty much do that all on his own. There were no blockers ahead of him. He had to try to fake out 2 South Grand Prairie defenders, but he was able to make something out of that. Now it's a very makeable third down.
3rd and 3. They need to get to their own 17-yard line for this one. 5 minutes left here in the third quarter. Lake Highlands still up 14-10. A flag coming in from the backside of the South Grand Prairie defense. That might be a false start here. Let's see what the call is.
Yeah, they were pointing at the Lake Highlands line. The South Grand Prairie defenders were. Yeah, that's what it is.
Same song, different verse on this one. Very untimely penalty here for Lake Highlands. And now becomes a 3rd and 8 from their own, we'll call it 8-yard line.
It's still a makeable third down. At least it's not big holding call, which is a 10-yard mark off. So
Holly takes the snap, drops back, feels the pressure, has to step up and get out of the end zone at least before he is brought down by Keone Perkins for a sack. And Holly with some good pocket presence just to get out of the end zone. Otherwise, that would have been a safety.
And Tripp's a little slow to get up, but he was helped up by his lineman. Now he seems to be fine jogging off. Yeah, he had to do all he could to avoid a safety there. Now you have the prospect of punting out from your punter standing on the end line there, not just in the end zone, but the end of the end zone. Any little bobble snap, high snap or whatever. Actually, Salome's out of bounds, which I don't think he's allowed to be. But, yeah, he took a step forward. The referee reminded him. A high snap here is a safety, so they got to get this down.
Peter, a little bit of a high snap, but does jump to receive it. A very short punt. This does not travel very far at all, and it goes right to the 27-yard line. And so South Grand Prairie with great field position, 3:54 left in this third quarter, and they have another opportunity to take their first lead of the night, and they have great field position to do so.
Shalom couldn't get his full leg into that. He had to get the ball off so quickly.
Right.
And it resulted in the short punt. So basically, Wesley Scott's fumble recovery, so far all it has done is delayed the South Grand Prairie offense, and they're in good shape again and threatening to score.
So 3 wide receivers out here for South Grand Prairie. Lake Highlands threatening to bring a 4th man on the blitz. Hand off to Newberry. He's got a whole bunch of space there. Get to the 20-yard line, and South Grand Prairie's O-line is really putting in some nice work here as Newberry gets to the 20-yard line before being tackled by Andre Johnson.
Yeah, and Carson Klein got in on that tackle too. If you're Lake Highlands, if you know your defense is playing well, those linebackers are making those tackles on the running backs. It's not your free safety.
Absolutely. 2nd and 4 coming up here from the 21. Stanley, screen pass to Ramirez to the near side, out of bounds at the 17-yard line. First out there by Wesley Scott, and with the forward progress, they do give him a first down. So 1st and 10 coming up from the 16.
Again, and it's another opportunity for the Lake Highlands defense to try to come with some sort of big play to stop or at least slow down South Grand Prairie. Meanwhile, the Lake Highlands offense is going to have to come up with something. They've had two disappointing drives in this half.
Trips to the right of left of Stanley. They go to Stratford. He makes the catch, immediately brought down by McGee at the 11. And so McGee doing well just to keep that receiver in front of him and tackles him for a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, they're not putting the ball deep downfield by any means. They're just little chipping away with these short passes, and it's working effectively for South Grand Prairie.
Stand corrected. That was a 5-yard completion from Stanley to Stratford. And Stanley keeps it to the left side, has a lane, and he is into the end zone. Touchdown, South Grand Prairie. And that was Jaden Stanley from 11 yards out. And for the first time tonight, South Grand Prairie is in front with 2:59 left to go in the third. They now lead 16-14.
Andre Johnson shot through there, and I for sure thought he had a tackle in the backfield. As Stanley is just a magician with the ball. They're really taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the Lake Highlands defensive front, and they're just those handoffs and fake handoffs are really fooling everybody.
That zone read, I think they found something that's working there.
Yeah.
Zach Thomas with the extra point. It is up and good. A capper to that scoring drive, and only starting from about 27 yards out. And so South Grand Prairie with a great start as far as field position goes, essentially a gift after all that, and they take advantage of it as they now lead 17-14.
They had a little flop there by the South Grand Prairie kicker, Zach Thomas. Well after the play, a Lake Highlands player rolled over next to him and he fell down. But ref wasn't buying it. But South Grand Prairie doesn't need help like that. They're doing it well enough on their own. And now we've been talking about the Lake Highlands defense responding. It's time for the Lake Highlands offense to do something.
Right.
They've had back-to-back poor drives, messed up by penalties and mistakes. They need to get something going, get back to the way they started this game by moving the ball quickly and effectively downfield.
They need to get some type of spark going because it seems like the South Grand Prairie defense is just keying in on Deontay Dean now.
Yeah, and South Grand Prairie, the longer this goes, the more their superior size and quickness is going to take effect. Right now, Lake Highlands has been able to counter that with just superior play and smarts, and it's just not going to last much longer if they can't move the ball and keep the South Grand Prairie offense on the sideline.
Zach Thomas ready to kick this one away from the 40-yard line, closer to the far hash mark on the right side. Kickoff from right to left. Sends this one away. Dean brings it out from the 7-yard line. Trying to make something happen. Has a lane. Dean gets to the 31-yard line. Good return there from Deontay Dean. Mr. Do-It-All right there. Getting involved in special teams as well.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know how this game's going to end up, but it's not going to end without Deontay Dean giving it his all.
That's
He's
right.
doing everything he can to get Lake Highlands a playoff win here. And if he can get the rest of his teammates to join him, then things will work out well.
No, they really will, and so this drive ever so critical with 2:52 left to go in the third quarter. For the first time tonight, Lake Highlands is trailing. Jaden Stanley with that touchdown run to put South Grand Prairie in front. Donaldson in motion left to right. Holly takes the snap. Pocket continues to hold. Scrambles to his right. Directs traffic. Lobs it up. Shot him just a bit, and Germany could not track that one down. A flag coming back at the line of scrimmage. I think there was a hold there to extend that play for Trip Holly, though. But, just led Germany a bit too much down the near sideline.
Yeah, Trip Holly, great athleticism and great headiness, keeping his eyes downfield, finds Germany, but just threw it a tad too far. Leland Germany is a talented sophomore, a big target. I think he's got a real bright future here at Lake Highlands.
No flag. They pick it up. The South Grand Prairie fans voicing their displeasure. And with the way this bowl is set up, I think the ref can hear exactly what they're saying.
And the fans can hear what the coaches are saying, too.
Right.
So you might want to hold your ears if you've got delicate ears. But
yes, that's very advisable.
I'm just assuming that. I'm sure.
Of course.
I'm sure those are all fine, upstanding gentlemen.
2nd and 10. Holly, quick screen out to the left. It is being set up by Dean. Tries to escape the tackle there and does not do so. And Micah Williams had him dead to rights there at the line of scrimmage. And a great open field tackle by the senior safety for a no gain on that play.
He just blew that up. That was a sort of a shield or bubble screen, and that's just not working. The South Grand Prairie defense is playing much more aggressive now and really using their athleticism to make plays and snuff these drives.
17 unanswered points for South Grand Prairie now. 1:25 left to go. 3rd and 10 for Lake Highlands. Holly takes a snap, rolls to his right, feels the pressure, has to get rid of it. No chance to get that one out and down the field. And you got to give credit to Darian Jackson and Sergio Valdez tag teaming that one to force Holly outside the pocket, and out comes the punt team for Lake Highlands.
He had nothing there, Trip Holly, to throw to. All the receivers were covered. They basically ran a pattern, and every man was covered. No opportunity to hit someone in stride unless crossing routes. Maybe they'll try that again on the next drive.
And so Peter sets up at the 17-yard line to send this one away for a punt. Matthew Ramirez back to return this for South Grand Prairie. 1:18 left to go here in the third quarter. High snap. Peter retreats, sends this one away. Much better punt this time. Takes a Lake Highlands bounce to the 41-yard line at the other side of the field, and Hutton picks it up. And that is where South Grand Prairie will take over. A big sequence there by the South Grand Prairie defense with 1:08 left in the third. They hold on to that 17-14 lead.
Well, something's got to happen because the field is shifted tilted toward South Grand Prairie and playing at home. They are full of confidence, complete different body language from each team right now. And like I said, with the South Grand Prairie's size and speed and athleticism, that's just going to wear on Lake Highlands right now unless they can find a way to stop the way the momentum is swinging.
Handoff goes to Newberry. Outside right tackle to the 50. First down and then some. He is back into Lake Highlands territory at the 43-yard line. A big chunk play for A.J. Newberry and another first down for South Grand Prairie.
Yeah, it's nice when you can hand it to a big, Pac-12 bound running back like that and just let him do his thing. And right now, the momentum is totally in South Grand Prairie, and they're just leaning on the Wildcats.
Absolutely, they are. 1st and 10 at the Lake Highlands 43. Stanley on the keeper. Zone read outside to the 30 in a sprint to the 20, the 10, the far sideline, and he is gone. Touchdown, South Grand Prairie. Jaden Stanley strikes again, this time from 43 yards out, and South Grand Prairie now pouring it on. That's now 23 unanswered points, a 23-14 lead with 53 seconds left in the third.
Well, the dam has burst, and when you've got a quarterback who is just as fast as any running back, and plus he's a magician with the ball and fake handoffs and gives and keeps, and it's just everything's tilted towards South Grand Prairie now.
Zach Thomas with the extra point. It is good.
We have a flag, though.
Yeah, a flag comes in. We will see what the penalty is. And from the looks of the Lake Highlands coaching staff, I don't know if this is a favorable outcome.
No. They've got to really fire these guys up and dig down deep. It's still a winnable game for Lake Highlands, and they just need to find a way to shift the momentum and get something positive going on offense.
Oh, it looks like the penalty against Lake Highlands will be enforced on the kickoff, and so for the first time in a while, Lake Highlands is dealing with some adversity head on, and they've been riding a 6-game winning streak with a lot of blowout wins, and we've seen a lot of good things. But for the first time since that home game against Jesuit, they're encountering some adversity head on now.
Yeah, it's that's one of the bad things about the district Lake Highlands is in having to play the biggest competitors so early in the district schedule, and then you're not really challenged the rest of the way. Iron sharpens iron, and they haven't had a chance to play a competitive game really against someone who's going to punch back, and maybe that's part of what we're seeing tonight. Part of it is South Carolina Prairie is just a very good team. And, you said, Philip, before the game, we expect to see a lot of points scored. Well, South Carolina Prairie is scoring their points.
Yep.
Lake Highlands has not scored since the first quarter. And that's got to change if they're going to have a chance to come back and win this game.
We talked about it at halftime. It looked like South Grand Prairie started to get their sea legs, to use that adage. I know it's kind of a cross-reference from hockey, but
yeah.
I think it still applies here. And you can really see they've gotten more comfortable now. They've gotten the momentum, and they've got 24 unanswered points to show for it. And you're right, Keith. Ever since the first quarter, the Lake Highlands offense has been silent. Nothing doing since that 14-point outburst.
And I think this is not atypical for South Carolina Prairie. I was looking at their scores. Those 5 games they lost, they did fall behind early in several of them.
That kick bounces through the hands of McGee, and it trickles out of bounds. That's probably a saving grace there, as Lucas Shaw was trying to run it down to the 10-yard line on the far side. And that's where Lake Highlands will take over. 53 seconds left in the third quarter, and essentially a must-score drive here for Lake Highlands coming up.
Yeah, smart move by South Carolina Prairie to squib that kick. Lake Highlands wasn't really ready for it. Ends up costing the Wildcats, and they're pinned back at their own 10-yard line on a drive when they really have to make something happen here. They've got 90 yards to go now.
Here's where it all starts. Back at the 10-yard line at the left hash mark. Offense going from left to right. Holly handing it off to Dean. Nowhere to go in that whole. Every lane was swallowed up there, and Nathan Henson eventually brings him down for no gain at the far hash mark, and it's now 2nd and 10.
Well, it's always a good thing to give the ball to Deontay Dean, but I think the pattern is forming that South Carolina Prairie is very much keyed on him. Might be time to try to use some of your other weapons, and obviously on first down especially, they have stuffed Deontay Dean these last few drives.
So Deontay Dean has been kept quiet here, 2nd and 10. They try to give it to Dean again, going in between the tackles. That's a little bit better as he gets to the 19-yard line for a gain of 9. Had to do a little window dressing there. They found a running lane for Dean after all.
Yeah, I think that's the sprint draw where Trip Holly takes the ball and runs to the right, and it hands back to Dean going the other way. Sort of misdirection for the defense. And now we're down to the fourth quarter, and this is where Lake Highlands has to make something happen.
They really do. Fourth quarter coming up here in just a moment. Lake Highlands Wildcats football brought to you by Dave Perry Miller Real Estate, who has been the title sponsor all season long. Want to give a thanks to Living for Zachary. Since its establishment in 2009, Living for Zachary has impacted thousands of families by providing heart screenings for ages 12 to 22, donating AEDs to youth-based organizations, and training community members in the use of CPR, all with the goal of saving lives. Sudden cardiac arrest doesn't wait, so we can't either. Schedule your child's heart screening today. Apply for an AED for your organization, or make a donation that could change a life forever. Together, we can give our children's hearts a second chance. Online at livingforzachary.org.
There's an old tradition, Lake Highlands, when the fourth quarter starts, you hold up 4 fingers in the air and chant, "Fourth quarter belongs to the Cats." But we need some of that help from our tradition right now. Mm-hmm. We need a dazzling comeback for everyone to remember for the ages. And down 10 points, it's doable, but Lake Highlands has got to make it happen.
Well, they have to start it right here with this 3rd and 1 coming up at their own 19-yard line. The sides have flipped here. They will go from our right to our left from our press box vantage point. Trying to stop this momentum here of the South Grand Prairie Warriors. who have scored 24 unanswered points. Holly in the shotgun. They go right back to Dean. Cuts outside the outside right tackle. Keeps him between the hashes. Gets it to the 21. A 2-yard gain. Enough for a first down.
Would have been really interesting if they had come up short on that and faced 4th and 1.
Oh, yes.
Because this is the must-do territory for Lake Highlands. They've got to do something here because the game is getting away.
Well, they need to start pushing the ball down the field a little bit. They haven't done a whole lot of that tonight, but now is the time to do it. 3 wide receivers to Holly's left. They empty Dean out of the backfield to his right. Holly takes the snap, steps up, has some space in front. He's going to use his legs to the 25, to the 30, and pushed out of bounds into the South Grand Prairie sideline to the 31, and that was Darian Jackson on the pursuit. But that will be, it looks to be very close to a first down. And oh boy, we have the training staff being summoned, and that was Trip Holly who went down, and this is not good.
He got a late push there at the end, pushed out of bounds. It wasn't a dirty hit by any means, but he was shoved out of bounds, and there's no room on this sideline here at the Gopher Warrior Bowl, and Trip Holly is down. I saw Trip Marshall run over there. I thought maybe Trip had gotten caught up, and anytime a player comes into your sideline, sometimes words are said, but no, it was because Trip Holly was down. But now he's up. That's good news. He's jogging back to his position. Now he may have to come out of the game for a play. Anytime you stop the clock for an injury, that player has to leave for at least one play, or you can call a timeout and he can stay in the game.
Well, the good news is that I think they will sacrifice him being on the sideline for one play, just knowing he is going to go back in later. So I think that is a
they'll just snap it to Deontay rather than here comes Harrison Day.
Aha!
The sophomore called up from the JV at mid-season, and we'll see what Harrison Day can do. Trip's run there. They're kind of stealing a pace in the South Grand Prairie playbook. They've been using their quarterback as a run threat, and
that's right.
Trip Holly is certainly capable of doing that. Maybe that's what Lake Highlands has to do to get the ball moving again. 1st and
10 from their own 31. Harrison Day in the shotgun, and he keeps himself. Oh, look at Harrison Day making something happen here. Gets to the 39-yard line before he is brought down by Jackson.
Good old option football. Harrison faked the pitch. I don't think there was any way in heck he was going to pitch the ball because that's just not part of the offense right now. But it was enough to freeze the tacklers, and Harrison Day makes some good yardage there.
So an 8-yard gain there makes it 2nd and 2 as Lake Highlands now at their own 39. Trip Holly back in the game, which is good to see. Trips to his right. Deontay Dean in the backfield with him. Takes the snap, goes to Dean, finds a lane, gets to the 46-yard line near the near hash mark, and that is going to be another first down for Lake Highlands.
Deontay found the hole. It wasn't where he was initially headed, but he's got that great sense. And he knows how to glide through traffic and make those yards in whenever it's cluttered in front of him.
And so now 1st and 10 from their own 45. 10:35 left in regulation.
Lake
Highlands desperately needs a touchdown. They give it to Dean on the stretch run and tackled in the backfield as he got outside the far hash mark. And Keone Perkins again. He has just been such a disruptive force in the second half.
Well, they lined up Deontay as sort of a wingback and then sent him in motion to kind of throw off the South Grand Prairie defense, but they know who number 3 is. Wherever you line them up on the field, they're going to chase him around, and that's why that play didn't work.
And so a loss of 3 makes it 2nd down and 13 coming up here. Holly, design QB run, makes a cut, and gets to the 49-yard line in between the far hash mark and the numbers. Makes it a little bit more of a manageable 3rd down coming up here.
That was a load option play where you're not going to pitch it, but the exact same play that Harrison Day made his yardage on, just on the other side of the field. So Trip Holly becoming a running threat here now in these last few plays. I'd like to see more of that because it's making the ball move, and of course with the 3rd and long here, it's an obvious passing down.
Best the offense has looked since the first quarter. Holly back in the shotgun, drops back, sets up in the pocket. He has the pressure, scrolls to his right, and that is Marshall making the catch in the flat of the 48. Does not get enough for the first down, but they are in South Grand Prairie territory, and so with being at the 48-yard line, they need 3 for a first down, and the offense looks like they are going to stay out there.
That was a nice catch by Trip Marshall on the run. The ball was low around his ankles, basically, but he made the catch and got the yardage. A nice pickup block, too, by Deontay Dean. The South Grand Prairie pass rush had broken through, but he cut their legs out from under to give Trip a little more time. Trip Holly a little more time, that is. Timeout, Lake Highlands.
And so Lake Highlands will talk things over with using their first timeout of the second half. They do have 2 remaining. 8:48 left to go in regulation as they trail 24-14. And a quick question for you. Did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you are part of an elite group, and Lone Star Gridiron wants to honor you. Visit LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood for more information.
Well, you want to come up with your best play here, 4th and 3. It's do or die time for Lake Highlands. They haven't been able to stop South Grand Prairie. I did it that time in the second half, and they really need to get this first down and keep going and punch in the score themselves and make this interesting. Only 8:48 left. They've got to do something. There's no question you got to go for it on 4th down here at midfield.
Exactly. I think the situation dictates that this would be a 4-down territory anyway, and so I don't think there was any doubt that they were going to go for it. I think they just wanted to talk things over, and Trip Holly is not in the shotgun. In fact, he is out to the left here, and the defense trying to get that signal in. Dean, direct snap, looking for a lane, a pass, going down the field for Donaldson. He got it to the 20, and he's out of bounds at the 5-yard line and digging deep into the playbook. Shamar Donaldson with a, dare I say, Shamarless play.
But there's a flag.
Oh, no.
It's against Lake Highlands.
Oh.
Well, I tell you what, Deontay Dean's trying to make a case for all-district quarterback the way he's been throwing the ball tonight. But
no kidding. But unfortunately, with that penalty on Lake Highlands, that negates the first down, backs up Lake Highlands back into their own territory, and I don't know, that they may have no choice but to go for it here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get the ball many more times. 8:40 left. You've got to do something here,
especially with the way AJ Newberry's been running.
Yeah, and like I said, they haven't been able to slow down South Grand Prairie in the second half. Newberry and the quarterback, Jaden. So it's tough sledding here for Lake Highlands. It's basically just what we had to play earlier. They've got to come with a good play and convert this 4th down and keep things going.
It's a spot foul. They need to get to the South Grand Prairie 45 for a first down. They're at their own 47. Holly takes the snap, drops back. Here comes the pressure over the middle. Big catch by Osarolo at the 42 for a big first down, and that was a clutch wrap by Osarolo to find the soft spot in the zone.
I'm not sure his knee ever touched down, but they whistled him dead. But the main thing is he got the first down.
Yes.
Great play, great pass over the middle by Trip Holly, and great catch by Osarolo. That was not an easy catch. That ball was humming.
It may be chilly outside, but Osarolo had ice in his veins on that 4th down catch.
Yeah, that's true.
4 wide receivers out. 1st and 10 for the South Grand Prairie 42. Holly,
Shamar.
Deep down the field, he has Donaldson! Makes the catch! Oh, it slipped out of his hands as he got into the end zone. It is incomplete. That would have been a touchdown there, and Donaldson could not quite hang on. Oh, what a missed opportunity.
He had to turn around and find the ball, and he trapped it against his shoulder, but as he hit the ground, it popped out. He did not complete the process of the catch. At certain times in football, that would have been a touchdown, but in today's age of how you have to complete the catch when you go to the ground, that's 2 plays now where we've seen Shamar Donaldson's speed and catching ability just amazing, but both times they have gone for naught.
Now 3 men in motion, everybody going from left to right here. 8:05 left in regulation. 2nd and 10 for the South Grand Prairie 42. Dump it out to Dean on the screen pass. That was all covered up there. Nowhere for Dean to go. Forced out of bounds at the 50 to the Lake Highlands sideline across the way to Arias Carmouche with some great coverage and forcing him out of bounds.
Well, whatever Lake Highlands was trying to disguise with that shift, it did not work.
Oof.
It's unfortunate, but they're going to keep trying everything. They're going to reach into their bag of tricks and find something that works. So far, the best thing that works is trying to throw the ball to Shamar Donaldson, especially on the run. His speed, South Grand Prairie cannot keep up with him.
So loss of 7 makes it 3rd and 17 from the South Grand Prairie 49. Need to get to the 32 for a first down. 4 wide receivers out. Play action. Holly over the middle. Nice catch by Marshall. The 32 gets to the 31 on the far hash mark and gets the first down in the process of a tackle made by junior safety Ahmad Jenkins.
Another great pass by Trip Holly, just a bullet, and a great catch by Trip Marshall on the trip-to-trip play on a little deep end. Moves the chains, keeps Lake Highlands' hopes alive.
If you're Lake Highlands, you probably want to score very soon here to give yourself a chance to get a stop here on defense. First and 10 from the South Grand Prairie 31. 4 wide receivers out. Holly, low snap, bobbled, picks it up, gets out quickly to Mouty, to the 30, outside the far numbers to the 25, the 20, first down, slips a tackle to the 11-yard line before he is brought down by Eddie Foster, but Ian Mouty once again coming through clutch, a big first down for Lake Highlands.
Well, the South Grand Prairie defense is keying on Deontay Dean, kind of keeping him in check in the second half. Now we're seeing other players step up and play big roles for Lake Highlands. We know they were capable of doing that all season, and they're really coming through for the Wildcats when they need it most.
7:13 and counting. First and 10 from the South Grand Prairie 10-yard line. Goal-to-go situation. Holly scrambles to his right, has a lane, has the angle, he's into the end zone, touchdown! Lake Highlands for Trip Holly, a 10-yard scramble, and Lake Highlands is right back into this one. 7:04 remaining in regulation. It's now 24-20.
Well, Lake Highlands quarterback can run for touchdowns too, and that's the X factor we were expecting them to use more here in this drive, and that's exactly paid off well. The running ability of Trip Holly.
Shalom Peter out for the extra point. Carson Klein with the hold. The snap is good. The kick is up, and it is good. And that stops a run of 24 unanswered points by South Grand Prairie. And with 7:04 left to go, Lake Highlands now only trails 24-21. And boy, they needed that scramble by Trip Holly in the absolute worst way.
How would you feel about overtime, Philip?
Bring it on. I love it.
If the Lake Highlands defense can get one more stop and get the ball back, it may come down to the leg of Shalom Peter to tie it up. Of course, we'd love to see a touchdown, but
we would.
But we're kind of in dreamland right now, extrapolating this. So that right now, first things first, Lake Highlands defense has to dig down and stop South Grand Prairie one more time.
Well, playoff football, overtime. What more could you ask for if it does get to that point? Of course.
If this doesn't end up well for Lake Highlands, at least they can say that they gave it their best shot. A lot of players came up with great plays. Shamar Donaldson, Trip Holly, Trip Marshall, the great catch. Wesley Scott on defense, my goodness.
Oh, how big has he been?
Yeah, and so it's not like you hate to see a season end with a rout, and that's definitely not what's happening here. Lake Highlands has given it its best, proving that it belongs to be among the better teams in the Metroplex.
Shalom Peter on the approach, kicking it out from the 40-yard line. From our left to our right, a bit of a shorter kick. Retrieved at the 10-yard line. They bring it up the field. That is Newberry. He has a seam. Oh, and he is tripped up by Shalom Peter at the 27-yard line. A big tackle there because Newberry, I think, was seeing a whole bunch of real estate in front of him.
Yes, Shalom Peter is not your average kicker. He can deliver a lick, and he did right there. You know, everybody gets excited when a kicker makes a tackle. It's business as usual at Lake Highlands when you're kicker is also your buck linebacker.
And probably the top linebacker for them all season long as well.
Yeah. He's made a lot of great plays and delivered some of the biggest hits we've seen.
Certainly has. First and 10 for South Grand Prairie as we resume play here. 3 wide receivers to their right. 3-man rush here for Lake Highlands. Dumping it out to Ramirez. He gets to the 30, the 35, and the 40. And a big play to start out there. Wesley Scott bringing him down at the end. And Lucas Shaw a bit slow to get up. And he is helped up by Wesley Scott. But first and 10 now as South Grand Prairie gets the 44.
That was some friendly fire there. Lucas Shaw ran into Wesley Scott. Referee is going to make him go off lead the field. They didn't have to stop the clock for him. He wasn't down on the ground very long. But they're going to make him leave the field. And they're going to have to come and bring someone else in. Myron McGee's been running on, but he's already in there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Will Koppel.
So Koppel comes in. Of course, as we mentioned, Koppel has made a couple of starts at linebacker already. So definitely no drop-off when you go to him because he played very well in Sam Hutton's absence.
You got to be ready. You're your next man up.
First and 10 from the 44-yard line for South Grand Prairie. And up. It's a zone read, and Stanley keeps it. Gets to the 50. He's into Lake Highlands territory. Makes a cut. Gets to the 45 and is dropped right there by Andre Johnson. But another big first down for South Grand Prairie and Jaden Stanley. That zone read has been killer on this Lake Highlands defense.
And once again, Jalen Caton made a great tackle in the backfield. The only problem is the guy didn't have the ball. And we've seen that time and time again with Jalen Caton and Andre Johnson and others. They are penetrating that backfield, but they're getting the wrong man. It's really hard to see who has the ball.
So Stanley, definitely a dual threat quarterback, had over 2,000 yards of total offense coming into this one tonight. Stanley takes the snap. They go to Newberry. A bit of a draw play. He spins away from a couple of Lake Highlands tacklers, gets to the 41 before Carson Klein stands him up. But Newberry continues to weave his way through this Lake Highlands defense.
Yeah. Shalom Peter is really hurting. You can tell he's limping, but he's still out there making plays. This is a slow drip. Got to have something to stop it, otherwise South Carolina Prairie is just going to continue this and put the game out of reach.
4-yard gain on that run by Newberry. They are in no hurry here. They continue to run the play clock down. 15 seconds left on this one. 5:41 and counting in regulation. 2nd and 6 from the Lake Highlands 41. 3 wide receivers to the left in this formation. Lake Highlands look to bring some pressure here. Stanley dropping back. Shalom Peter had it for a moment. Stanley evades him. Lucas Shaw tries to track him down. He cannot get him. Stanley continues to fight and gets to the 29-yard line. Another big first down for South Grand Prairie. Jaden Stanley, an absolute magician out there tonight.
Shalom Peter is down and very slow to get up. He almost had a tackle in the backfield, but just couldn't grab a jersey and it slipped through his fingers. And then he chased him down, and he took a shot over on the sideline right in front of the Lake Highlands coaches. I didn't see exactly what happened, but they are mad. Apparently, they thought it was a illegal block. And it would have to be something like that to take out Shalom like that. And he's very slow to get up, and now he's on the sideline. We knew this would be a physical game.
Yes.
South Carolina Prairie is a very physical team, and then the cold just adds to that. Every hit hurts more. Will Koppel back in again. Now he has to take someone else's place, Shalom Peters instead of Lucas Shaw.
Well, now that Koppel is in the game at middle linebacker, it's now 1st and 10 for South Grand Prairie at the Lake Highlands 29-yard line. Touchdown at this juncture could potentially put this game out of reach. Very important that Lake Highlands get a stop right here. Stanley takes the snap. Newberry with a handoff outside left tackle, and Sam Hutton with a nice open field play to get tackled with a 29 for a gain of 1.
Yeah, great play by Sam Hutton. Those little those cuts he makes on the edge are very hard to cover, but Sam Hutton stood his ground and grabbed an ankle and held on.
Held on for dear life because A.J. Newberry, he has just been a load to bring down. 4:46 left in regulation. Lake Highlands desperately needs a stop here.
Wesley Scott, where are you?
Right, exactly. One more time. You got it in ya. A.J. Newberry, the handoff, stretch run outside right tackle. He ran over Carson Klein.
Yeah.
Now before Andre Johnson tackled him at the near hash mark of the 24. But, oh my, A.J. Newberry, full steam ahead and just plowed right into Klein.
Yeah, well, Carson did his job. He's kind of the road hump to slow him down so someone else could make the tackle. But, man, he really paid for it there.
Oh, you sure did.
I don't think we're going to see South Carolina Prairie pass the ball.
No, I do not think we are. Very short third down coming up here for South Grand Prairie. Lake Highlands making a lot of noise across the way, trying to cheer on their defense here. Newberry gets to the 24-yard line. And did he get enough for the first down? And from the initial signals, it looks like he did not.
It's very close, but not quite.
No. It's actually 4th down and 4, so he actually got nowhere close here. And so big 4th down here. They need to get to the 20-yard line for a first down.
All right.
And so this could potentially be the ball game right here. 3:21 left in regulation. 4th and 4. Newberry is in the shotgun snap here. Takes a direct snap. Goes to the right side. Tries to get outside. Breaks a tackle to the 20 to the 19. Gets a first down, and he is out of bounds, which actually may be a saving grace for Lake Highlands because it stops the clock. But it is a big first down for South Grand Prairie.
Oh, Chung Leon shot through there. Had a chance to get him. Couldn't hold on. Couldn't find a piece of Newberry to hang on to. Otherwise, that would have stuffed it and turnover on downs for Lake Highlands. But that's just razor's edge, the difference between these teams in this game tonight.
So the clock stops. 3:09 left in regulation. And that was a bit of a different wrinkle there with Newberry taking the direct snap on that one.
Wildcat formation.
Yes.
Even though they're the Warriors.
So Stanley now back in the shotgun. Newberry in the backfield with him. And surprise, they go right back to Newberry. Has a lane outside the 10, the 5. He is in. It's a touchdown for South Grand Prairie. A.J. Newberry does it again. A flag comes in at the end of that run. Although I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. The touchdown will stand, and that is a backbreaker right there for Lake Highlands. 3:02 left to go, and South Grand Prairie now leads 30-21.
Yeah, they had him so many times. You see that the defense has a chance to really stop them on a fourth down play, but if they give up the first down and the next play it's a touchdown.
They get South Grand Prairie for an unsportsmanlike conduct, so the touchdown will count, but they will enforce the penalty on the kickoff here. But I don't think it matters a whole lot to them. They just made this a 2-score game with 3:02 left in regulation.
Yes.
And so Zach Thomas is back there. Well, okay, it's going to be a traditional extra point. Here's the snap. The kick on the way. It is up, and it is good. Now makes it 31-21 with 3:02 left in regulation. And, they needed a stop in the worst way on that 4th and 4, and they nearly had it by getting Newberry a couple of yards short. But once again, A.J. Newberry proving to be one of the best players on the field tonight, and South Grand Prairie going to him again. And
give credit to that South Grand Prairie offensive line.
Oh, 100%.
They've plus the magician work of Jaden Stanley. But on the extra point, what South Grand Prairie's been doing is their holder's been lining up behind the center, and then at the last minute he rushes back and takes a knee. I guess that's sort of a look. If they ever wanted to do a fake, they could hike it to him real quick. But it does throw you off. It looks like they're going for 2 when they're really. That's what they do every time they kick an extra point. That holder has to be quite an athlete to run back and.
I was going to say that was quite the athletic move there on the pre-snap motion.
I mean, there's so much technical that has to go right on a kick, and for him to run back, and sit down, and then take the snap is pretty amazing. So now South Grand Prairie will be kicking off from their own 25, so it should be good field position for Lake Highlands. 3:02 left. It's not impossible.
No, it's definitely not impossible, but Lake Highlands needs to score, and pronto. Thomas on the approach. Squibs this kick, and Germany, it bounces over him. Marshall recovers it at the 45-yard line. That could have been very, very disastrous for Lake Highlands, but good heads-up play there by Trip Marshall to track down that ball.
Yeah, Leland Germany slid to his knees to try to trap that thing, and he got the bad hop right over his head, but Trip Marshall came flying through and grabbed it.
And so it's a fairly decent field position here for Lake Highlands. 3:02 left in regulation. 1st and 10 from their own 45-yard line. But this is definitely a passing situation, and so they need to get the ball down the field and quick. Hawley, low snap, picks it up, drops back, rolls to his right, continues to look down the field, and looks for Schreiner, makes a diving catch, but could not keep his feet in bounds. It is incomplete. Clock stops with 2:53 left to go in regulation, brings up 2nd and 10 with that incompletion.
I thought they were going to go with our man, Shamar Donaldson, but he went the other way. Tripp was looking to the right. But I bet they get it to him again at some point.
I think so. I mean, you almost have to. Schreiner out wide to the right by himself. Mowdy out wide to the left. Shamar Donaldson is in the slot. Hawley, high snap, quick throw. Schreiner makes the catch. 44-yard line, and he stays in bounds even with the first down. So he gets the 42, but
he wanted him to go out of bounds.
I don't know. I didn't know why he didn't go out of bounds there.
Yeah, he's just trying to make yardage, trying to make a play.
Absolutely. Clock is not Lake Highlands' friend at this point. 2:45 in regulation. Play action. Hawley feels the pressure, spins away from it. Flag comes down. It is an incompletion as he throws it to the Lake Highlands sideline across the way, intended for Deontay Dean, but there is a hold on Lake Highlands, and so back them up 10 yards. It becomes a 1st and 20.
I don't know how you can call it a hold when 2 linemen are staring their quarterback in the face. Whoever was holding them didn't do a good job of holding.
Right.
If you're going to hold, get your money's worth and bring him down.
Yeah, none of this ticky-tack foul on that one. Absolutely, I agree with you.
But that's the way the breaks have been going for Lake Highlands for a while now.
2:36 left in regulation. Back to their own 48-yard line. Hawley takes the snap. Big play needed here. Hawley steps up. Continues to look down the field. Nobody open. Has a man. Oh, he overshot Germany there. I think he was looking his direction.
Oh, and he's hurt.
Oh, no. Trip Holly is a bit slow to get up. Ian Mowdy helps him up.
He was rolling on the ground and grabbing his back, but he's up. Oof. He's a tough customer.
He sure is. He has to get this one out here. 2:29 left in regulation.
I wish Tripp had just taken off and run there.
Right.
But he kept he tried to throw it back across the middle, and that's always a dicey proposition for a quarterback.
Clock does stop with 2:29. Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. No, he had some clear sailing in front of him and would have gotten a first down most likely, but he was looking for the big play, and you can't blame him for that.
2nd and 20 coming up here. Holly drops back. Looks to his left. Has Mowdy near side at the hash mark. Gets to the 47-yard line. A decent gain there, but decent is not going to get you down the field fast enough. And, Ian Mowdy is not getting up.
Yeah, Ian Mowdy took a shot there. The catch kind of left him out to dry. He had to leap up high and over, and that took a shot from a South Grand Prairie defensive back.
And I think Mowdy will have to leave at least for one play there. As you're right, Mowdy did take a shot at the end of that one as he was fighting for more yards, and so Osarolor will come in for one play here. So situation as it stands here after that 5-yard completion. 2:14 remaining here in regulation. Clock continues to run.
And the South Grand Prairie defensive front, they're just pinning their ears back because they know what Lake Highlands has to do.
Wouldn't be surprised to watch them bring an extra man or two on a blitz.
Yeah.
3rd and 15. Holly drops back. 3-man rush here. Holly steps up. Finds Germany at the 40, at the outside the far hash mark. Continues to fight. Gets to the far side numbers. Does get a first down. Forward progress to the 36. And a flag comes in at the end. I think they may get South Grand Prairie for some extracurricular at the end. 2 flags have come in.
Well, they couldn't bring Leland, Germany down, and they kept trying to stand him up and drag him, and the whistle had blown, and he wouldn't let Leland go. And Leland, gave him some words, and the official said, "You know what? You're right, Leland." That was hitting after the whistle.
It was.
Big play for Lake Highlands getting not only the catch and now the personal foul.
So the personal foul moves them up to the 21, and so it was going to be a first down anyway after Germany made that catch, but now they are in much better field position here at the South Grand Prairie 21, 1:43 and counting in regulation.
They started the clock up, now it's at 1:40, but there's time to get a touchdown here, then an onside kick, and then really watch the magic happen.
Absolutely. Holly takes the snap. Senses the pressure, looking for Schreiner. It's incomplete as he airmails it to the far sideline. McCune was on the coverage there for South Grand Prairie.
Had a little extracurriculars there between a couple of linemen, a Lake Highlands guy and a South Grand Prairie guy. It's just the frustration, and this has been a hard-fought battle. You're starting to see some of the frustration come out on both sides.
No, absolutely, and it's been a hard-fought game, and so frustration's definitely boiling over here. 1:30 left in regulation. 2nd and 10 for the South Grand Prairie 21. Holly takes the snap. Design QB run, steps up, shakes a tackler to the 20-yard line, cannot get any further. He was brought down by Leo Morris, the junior linebacker. And we have a timeout called on the field. Timeout Lake Highlands. That is the second one they have used this half. And so 1:22 left to go in regulation. A big 3rd down coming up here for Lake Highlands.
Well, now you really need to strategize. So Lake Highlands has 2 timeouts left. I'm having a hard time reading this.
It was 2 before the timeout was used, so I'm guessing they'll have 1.
Yeah, they just haven't acknowledged it on the scoreboard yet.
Right.
But that's still something you can work with here. They got to get the touchdown here. You might have to settle for the field goal and then try to get the onside kick and then a touchdown. But a lot of calculations going on right now.
Oh, yes. And even if they didn't gain any yardage, it would be a 37-yard field goal, which would be in Shalom Peters' range. So you could definitely get that.
And one of our best receivers, Ian Mowdy, I don't think he's coming back after he took that hard shot earlier.
No, he has not come back in, and that is unfortunate because he's made some big catches for them.
Yes, and he is hard to bring down. He really fights.
Dean and Donaldson in motion. They put Dean in the slot to the right. Donaldson's in the backfield now. Holly, and the whistle blows.
Now what?
Oh, boy. Did we get an illegal motion on that one? I didn't see a penalty flag.
There's a flag down here on the near side. False start.
False start on Lake Highlands. Oh, my.
That's the chance you take when you shift players around like that, put them in motion. It's a fine line between a shift and a second man in motion, I think.
Yep.
I'm not even sure I understand it, but referees will call that on you if you don't do it perfectly by the book.
It's now 3rd and 14. They need to get to the South Grand Prairie 11 for a first down, but they got their eyes squarely on that end zone here. 1:22 left in regulation. 3rd and 9. Actually, 3rd and 14, beg your pardon. Here's the motion again. Dean in the slot to the right. They send Donaldson across the way. Completed pass to Schreiner to the 20 and is outside the far hash mark to the numbers at the 14-yard line. A few yards short of that first down, becomes 4th and 3, and this really is the ball game right here.
Nice play there to get Schreiner open. Now they've just got to convert. It's very makeable now at least.
Holly in the shotgun. This could be it right here. Play action to Dean. Scrambles to his left. Dean calling for it. Holly doesn't see him. Now he finds him.
Oh, my
Dean makes
goodness.
the catch at the 9-yard line. Takes a big hit outside the far numbers. Does get a first down. They will stop the clock to move the sticks, but 51 seconds left.
You know, some coaches might have kicked the field goal there on 4th down, but Lake Highlands is going for it. They don't want to play for the tie. We're playing for the win.
44 seconds left. 1st and goal from the 9. Holly drops back. Pump fakes. Looks to his right. Finds Schreiner back in the end zone, and he's got it. Touchdown, Lake Highlands, as Jack Schreiner gets the foot down. 34 seconds left, and Lake Highlands has made this a one-score game, 31-27, and clutch hands there by the senior, Jack Schreiner.
The South Grand Prairie coaches in the booth next to us are yelling. They think their DB, Devin McEwen, pushed Schreiner out of bounds, but he didn't. Schreiner got that foot in. Touchdown, Lake Highlands. 34 seconds left. You can dream the impossible dream here.
Now that's right. Well, they are going to go for 2 right here. Which I don't necessarily mind that decision, to be perfectly honest.
But you cut it to 3, you can kick a field goal and tie and go to overtime, but they're not interested in that.
Holly, snap to his right, feels the pressure, tries to get away. He does. Looking for the end zone, lost it up, and could not get Osorolor in the back of the end zone. He tried to dive for it and could not reach it, and so 2-point conversion is no good. And so 34 seconds left. The only choice here is an onside kick coming up, but that 2-pointer would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, now they're going to have to score a touchdown. I think they were hoping a 2-point conversion they could get the onside kick and kick a field goal to win.
Right.
But Trip Holly was just scrambling around buying time. He threw it to just a spot in the end zone and hope one of his guys could catch it. And that was Nimi, who dove and made a valiant effort, but the ball was just out of his reach.
Now, just very unfortunate. I mean, you got to give credit to Holly for keeping that play alive as long as he did,
Oh,
too.
yes. He gave him a chance. That's all
really
you can
did.
ask for in that situation.
And he's given them chance after chance, especially in this 4th quarter. So,
And now they're coaching up the Lake Highlands hands team over on the sideline for this onside kick. It's got to be an onside kick with 34 seconds left.
exactly. There is no other option at this point, as Shalom Peter will place the kicking tee down at the 40-yard line on the left hash mark, closest to us here in the press box.
That tells you, that's usually they put the tee in the middle of the field, but he's on the left hash. So they've definitely got something drawn up here that they think will work, or they're hoping will work anyway. Looks like he's going to try to kick it to the right side where there's players bunched up, but it could always fake him out and hit it to the left side. Shalom is a soccer player. He knows how to manipulate that ball.
All right. Peter ready. About to kick this one off from the 40. Here he is on the approach. Kicks it to the right side. It goes off a South Grand Prairie player, but they do recover it. And that was Ahmad Jenkins who comes up with the ball. And that will likely do it for this playoff matchup, as South Grand Prairie will just look to take a knee or two, and they will move on to the area round next week. And for Lake Highlands, it will only be a question of what could have been.
Well, he got the pop-up that you like on an onside kick attempt.
Oh, yes.
You kick the ball, dribble on the ground, you hope you get that ball to pop up in the air. It just happened a little too deep for the Lake Highlands pursuit to get to it. So now we're just going to see South Grand Prairie take a knee here, and they're going to celebrate a hard-fought win coming back from 14-0 down early. But Lake Highlands just couldn't quite complete their own comeback.
And so the ball at their own 44-yard line. Stanley takes a knee. Lake Highlands will elect not to. Actually, they will use their last timeout. And so clock stops with 22 seconds left in regulation. And I think it's all but a fait accompli at this point, as Lake Highlands season will come to a heartbreaking end tonight. But I have to tell you, this game, with so much anticipation leading up to it, even the Dallas Morning News had talked about this being a highlighted matchup in the by-district round. I tell you, it lived up to the billing. I mean, it really did.
Well, like these were two teams that were under the radar, like I said, because of early losses. But
yeah,
I think South Grand Prairie, they could do some damage in the playoffs.
Oh, they could.
They could make a deep run. They probably will have to get past Prosper to do it, but once they do, they could go several more rounds deep with the talent they have.
So 20 seconds left in regulation. The ball is on the far hash mark for South Grand Prairie. Stanley is back there with a whole bunch of friends in the backfield. That's Martinez, that's Stratford. And we have a flag and a false start on South Grand Prairie.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if I've ever seen a false start on a victory formation.
I don't know.
I think that might be a first.
A couple of Lake Highlands players were very happy and clapping on that.
Right. Well,
you take your victories where you can get them.
Exactly. I think at this point they will take the small victories here. Unfortunately, the victory they were going for will elude their grasp tonight as Stanley takes one more knee. There are no timeouts to be had. The clock is at 20 seconds left.
Yeah, we see players hugging each other. Shalom Peter hugging some of the South Grand Prairies. You'd like to see that.
Some great sportsmanship there. It was a very hard-fought game, and there were even some chirping going on between these two teams. But as you're seeing right here, a lot of great sportsmanship between these two programs.
Well, mutual respect is the term we're looking for here. They both respect each other.
Absolutely.
They may chirp a little bit during the game, but when it's over, you're back to being respectful of each other.
Absolutely. Both teams will meet at the 50-yard line for the post-game handshake, and that is a final. The South Grand Prairie Warriors will move on to the area round next week. A 31-27 victory over the Lake Highlands Wildcats, and we'll go ahead and take you right directly into the post-game show presented by C&C Exteriors as we wrap up tonight's broadcast and wrap up the 2022 Lake Highlands Wildcats season. It's a little bit bittersweet saying that this year because we saw so many special moments from this Lake Highlands Wildcats team, and especially over the 6-game win streak that they were on. Unfortunately for tonight, after going on that great start, 14-0, they just could not find an answer for A.J. Newberry. I mean, he just proved he is a bona fide D1 talent, and he definitely emerged as the best player on the field tonight.
Yeah, they kept using him as a battering ram, and then when that wasn't working, their quarterback would take the ball and run with it for touchdowns.
Yes.
It's too much for the Lake Highlands defense to handle. They eventually buckled, and then the offense just stalled. They couldn't get anything going like they had in the first quarter until the very end, and it was too little too late. But South Grand Prairie, you got to give them the credit. They made the adjustments and did what they had to do to come up with the win. They didn't panic early when they were down 14-0.
And so we have some final numbers for you, courtesy of the Dallas Morning News, as the South Grand Prairie Warriors are holding up that golden ball as by-district champions. Congratulations to them for a hard-fought victory as the Lake Highlands alma mater is being played across the way. It'll give us a chance to go over some of the final numbers from this matchup here tonight. And it was about as even as you could expect between these two teams. 22 first downs for South Grand Prairie compared to 21 for Lake Highlands. 393 yards of total offense compared to 365. That's in favor of South Grand Prairie. But here is the big story here. For Lake Highlands, 207 through the air, 158 rushing. But for South Grand Prairie, they did not crack triple digits in passing tonight. In fact, in rushing, 316 yards on the ground. And really, is it any surprise? But here's the other thing, too. Not so much the fact that they ran the ball 32 times. We expected that. But nearly 10 yards a carry tonight for South Grand Prairie. I mean, if you want to look as to why they were able to pull away in that second half, that's a pretty good indicator.
Well, why throw the ball if the running game's working? And the way the Lake Highlands secondary, the way they played, especially in the first half, they basically shut down the South Carolina Prairie passing game, at least as far as anything downfield. So why step into that trap? Just keep handing the ball off and use that big offensive line, your big running back, and your quick quarterback, and that was the formula that South Carolina Prairie needed. Lake Highlands, we've said all year, they're kind of an undersized defensive front, but they really swarm to the ball, and they have players who play bigger than they are. But they finally met a challenge they couldn't overcome.
Well, a lot of it, too, you could really point to the discrepancy in penalties as another reason why Lake Highlands did fall short tonight. And we know that early on in the season, the penalties were a bit of a burr in their saddle, if you, to kind of use a little terminology there, but it really came to a head at the worst possible time. South Grand Prairie only had 5 penalties for 55 yards. Lake Highlands, 12 for 119. We haven't seen numbers like that since early on in the season.
Yeah, that's sort of, like you said, it kind of rose up from the early part of the season and got us again late in the season, but, I have no excuse for that or any reason why that would happen, but I just know the kids were trying hard.
Oh, that they were. I mean, the effort was maxed out tonight, and even they created turnovers. I mean, you got to give credit to their defense. They do what they have done all season long. They got the 2 turnovers and really gave their offense extra opportunities, but I just think it really just their inability to contain A.J. Newberry. You couldn't really just stop him, but just contain him. But just allowing 10 yards a carry, that's tough on any defense.
Well, I was thinking before the game, this is the most athletic team Lake Highlands has faced all year. I mean, as good as Highland Park is, athletically they don't match up with South Carolina Prairie. Highland Park, is good for other reasons. And Jesuit, of course, isn't even as athletic as Lake Highlands, I would say. But South Carolina Prairie, athletes all over the field, big athletes, lots of speed, lots of physicality. And it was too much for Lake Highlands this year, but maybe they'll get them next year. Next year, Lake Highlands will have a veteran offense. The defense will have to replace about 9 starters, but there's some great kids coming up through the system, and I think they'll be in good hands with Coach Pascuzzi leading that defensive unit. So, and next year they get to host Highland Park at home, and we'll have the experienced quarterback. They'll be breaking in new ones. So
that's right.
The tide could turn next year. It sets up for a really good season next year.
It really does. And just to highlight some top individual contributors before we wrap up here tonight, Jaden Stanley, 9 of 14 for 77 yards through the air with 1 interception, but he really did his damage on the ground, especially in the second half. 9 carries for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, of course, A.J. Newberry doing what he's done all season long, 21 carries, 201 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, Deontay Dean with a great game as he normally does, 26 carries for 121 yards and a touchdown. Trip Holly had a touchdown on the ground as well, 21 of 30 for 177 yards and a touchdown. And Jack Schreiner leading all receivers tonight. He had a great game tonight. 5 catches for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Ian Mowdy had a clutch catch after clutch catch tonight, 4 catches for 59 yards. And unfortunately, those strong performances were not quite enough to get them to the area round. And Lake Highlands falling to 8-3, and that is the end of that for Lake Highlands this year.
People are going to say, how could you lose to a 5-5 team? Well, if you say that, you don't know high school football.
Right.
South Carolina Prairie lost close games to really good teams, and they were all within a touchdown difference, and they just finally, once they got their feet under them, they went on that 5-game winning streak, just like Lake Highlands. And, you can't be deceived by records when you play a tough schedule like South Carolina Prairie did.
And I think a picture that you're seeing on the field right now, I'm looking at it right now, Shamar Donaldson just sitting on the turf and just taking a moment to collect himself. I mean, if that is not a perfect picture of the emotions Lake Highlands is feeling right now, I don't know what other one you could find.
It's really tough for the seniors because you never expect the season to end. Even at the very end, you think you're going to pull it out, and when it ends suddenly like that, it can be hard to take. But this has been a great season for Lake Highlands.
Yes.
8 wins. They made the playoffs. They had to go on the road and face a tough team, an underrated team in a lot of aspects, but they gave it their all. They did not go down quietly, that's for sure.
They really didn't, and it's really been a pleasure watching this young team really grow up right before our eyes all season long. And you think about all the players that are going to be returning next year. There's a lot of things to be excited about for 2023. I mean, you talked about it already, but we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here from Grand Prairie. Want to thank all of you for joining us, not just tonight, but all season long. It's been a pleasure to bring you Lake Highlands Wildcats football for this 2022 season. For my broadcast partner, Keith Whitmire, and for all of us here at Champion Sports Radio, our president and founder, Thomas Lee, and for those of you watching us on the NFHS Network, thank you very much for joining us, and we will bid you a good night from Grand Prairie. The Lake Highlands Wildcat season comes to a close, a 31-27 defeat to the South Grand Prairie Warriors. For everyone here, this is Philip Kern. Good night from Grand Prairie.